Happy Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen. We are 48 hours away from the first round of the NFL Draft, and we are here to have a little mock draft fun before it all goes underway on Thursday night. Welcome into the ChiCitySports NFL Draft Preview Show with a complete mock draft. We have people from across the NFL fandom landscape that are going to be dropping in, making picks, as well as the three of us here making some picks as well along the way as we go from 1 to 32. So welcome on in. I'm Steven Johnson. We also have Zach Pearson and Nick Bidding. Guys, I know I say this as a Bears fan, but I have no idea what to expect on Thursday night at all.
No, the draft, I think, in my opinion, starts at 3. And from there, it gets wacky. And I think the first 2 picks are locked in. And after that, who knows? You're going to see teams flying up and down the boards if certain picks are made. And it's going to be interesting.
I mean, I'll even raise you when I think it starts at 4 because I think the quarterback's going to go 3. But we just don't know which one. You know what I mean? It's like, is San Francisco going to take Mac Jones? Are they going to take Trey Lance? But like whatever Atlanta does at 4 is probably going to dictate a lot because you kind of figure Cincinnati's going to be locked into an offensive tackle or Jamar Chase. And if Kyle Pitts falls, maybe him. And then after that, it gets kind of murky, especially like for the Bears because, you know, there's some teams that might need a quarterback up there. And the Detroit Lions going to trade with the Bears? I don't think so. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting though.
Absolutely. So we're going to make it nice, cut and dry tonight with what we're going to put together here. We'll bring in our big board. No trades, just straight picking. That's all there is to it.
Dang it.
We have 32 picks. We're not going to be Ryan Pace and making ridiculous trades across the landscape to figure this out. We are here. We are making 32 picks. We have, again, people from across the Twitterverse that have joined us here tonight that will be making picks on behalf of their favorite teams or second favorite teams or whoever they wanted to pick for. There's some fun ones in there, and we have a lot of great guests coming up here in the next 2 hours, so stay tuned for that. Should we just dive right into it then?
Works for me.
Ready to roll? Okay. Well, we're going to start off here with our guest for the Jacksonville Jaguars. You can find him at PolacekFF on Twitter. It is Steven Polacek. How you doing, Steven?
Doing good.
Great first name, obviously. So I have to say, like, this is a pretty simplistic pick to kick us off here, if I had to assume, correct?
Yeah, I'm not going to do any kind of nonsense here. This is I've been asking for Trevor Lawrence for 3 years now as a Jags fan. Really haven't had a quarterback to cheer for in, the entire 18 years of fanhood. However long I've been a Jaguars fan, haven't really had any big quarterback. So no nonsense, not going to get cute with it. It's got to be Trevor Lawrence. I think there's consideration. You could throw Justin Fields in. That's my personal take, but I'm going to lean with Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, I'd say that's a pretty fair assessment for what is out there in the landscape. And obviously, it was going down to the wire there during the season. I'm sure you were biting your nails there with the Jets, fooling around towards the end of the season there. Just talk about who, what you're most excited about in terms of what Trevor Lawrence brings to the table. You said 3 years. It's been a long time coming, just knowing that the time is here. What does that mean?
Yeah, really the toughest thing is we've been losers for so long. I think we have one winning season in, I think, the last 12 years since like 2008. So there's been a lot of losing and high draft picks and basically nothing to show for it except for one, I want to say, lucky run with an elite defense. Besides that, we've really had nothing inspiring going on. It's just been missed pick after missed pick after missed pick. And eventually you feel like luck's got to break your way. And thankfully the Jets got to win at the end of the season. And they gave us our choice at quarterback. Really, I think what Lawrence brings is just no nonsense. It's a pick that really he's been, what do you want to say, the prince who's been promised for 3 years now. It's essentially just taking best player available. He's what we need. No nonsense is really the way I put it. We're not getting cute. It's not a one-hit wonder like Zach Wilson. Not a knock on him, but we can confidently say we've seen it. Consistent success at a top level. He won a national championship. The kid's a winner. He hardly loses ever. Everything you want intangibles, everything you want athletically, everything you want as a quarterback. You can nitpick. He's not a perfect prospect. I'll be the first to admit that. But I really think that you're just getting a well-rounded quarterback, and you can't really ask for much more when you're needing a quarterback at the top of the draft. So,
well, even like, I know you said that the Jaguars have had just a brutal history of like missing on picks, and it's like even that 2017 draft when you thought like Leonard Fournette was going to be, the next big thing, and he was good. I mean, he had a good run there, but it's like they also passed on Pat Mahomes. They also passed on Watson. They passed on Christian McCaffrey. So it's like, man, I feel your pain. Like, as Bears fans, we can understand,
It was so funny when he was going through describing his history as a Jacksonville fan. It's like, oh, getting lucky off elite runs by elite defenses and missing on a ton of picks. I was confused as to whether he was describing the Bears or the Jaguars, and I felt really hurt inside.
Pretty much same thing, right?
Yeah.
One has a much clearer path to figuring things out than the other. Well, I think that's the best that we can leave that at there. And Stephen, we're going to see you here a little bit later on at pick number 25. But before we move on to pick number 2, let everybody know where they can find you on Twitter and your work. Yeah, so I don't want to get into a long run, but I'm at Polacek FF. That's Polachek FF. I'm a data scientist. I spent time working for Penn State football, and yes, I'm a massive Penn State fan, Penn State grad. But yeah, fantasy football nut, data science. I'm a big analytics believer, big believer in the numbers. So I guess a little bit of everything, but mostly regarding fantasy football and data analytics. So. All right. Awesome. Well, thank you again for hopping on. We'll talk to you here in a little bit down the road on the show as we check back in at pick number 25.
Sweet. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. So, all right. As easy as it gets with pick number 1 there, I will be stunned if anybody else gets picked at number 1. I think it's pretty cut and dry.
I think this draft could be fun and a little crazy, but I don't think it's going to be quite that crazy. There's some fun stuff that could go on, starting at pick 3 or 4. But if you're the it'd be a total Jaguars move to not take Trevor Lawrence in this situation.
We'll see the hold my beer situation
exactly.
happen if things go completely off the rails. Like we had mentioned before, myself along with Zach and Nick will also be making picks throughout the night for where we don't have guests, and this happens to be a pick here from one of us, that being Nick picking up the Jets at number 2. Based on what you had said earlier, it seems as though it's a pretty straightforward selection, that the draft really begins at number 3. And that's because
it is. And now I was told before we went on the air that this draft was who we would take if we were the GM of the team.
You were correct.
I am trusting my board, and my board says to take Justin Fields, quarterback, the Ohio State University, with the number 2 pick.
You know what? I cannot fault you for that. I really can't, because for everything that has come out about all of these quarterbacks, and just the fact it's just been negative about Fields so far, despite all of his intangibles, and despite however many people want to be out here saying OSU quarterbacks never pan out. Just drop it.
This dude's different. And he's different, and on my board of quarterbacks, it's Lawrence, there's a beat, and then Fields, and then there's a pretty steady drop after that. I look at quarterbacks in tiers, and Fields may not be tier 1 because he's not on Lawrence's tier, but it's Lawrence, then Fields, a couple beats, and then you get into the rest of my quarterback board. I just feel like Fields he's special. It might take him a half season to get his legs under him, but I just feel like he's built for today's NFL game, and I feel he's if Lawrence is a can't miss, Fields is as close to a can't miss as you can get there without being it.
I don't understand how Justin Fields has fallen to QB5 on some teams or some scouts. He is closer to QB2 than he is QB5. I mean, even if
he's closer to QB1 than he is QB5.
Yeah, it just. I mean, for me, I have Lawrence, and then I have 2. I think you guys know I like Zach Wilson. I like Justin Fields. I think you go either way with them, and then I think it's like Mac Jones and Trey Lance. I actually reverse. I think I'd go Lance and Jones. I just don't get It is incredible how much he has fallen off of draft boards. Now, this all could be total smoke, and he could go, 3 or 4 right away. But to see him,
I think he will. And I think he will.
I hope so. I mean, if they let him fall, it's like, what the hell is going on?
I don't think he gets past Atlanta. If he's there at 4, I really don't think he gets past Atlanta.
That would be shocking. I just there's something about this where I feel like if one of them falls out of one of the spots that they're anticipating, so in this case, Wilson, like if Wilson doesn't get selected at 2, which at this point, highly doubt that this is even going to happen, despite
Vegas
the fact,
knows.
Yeah, exactly. Vegas always knows. Always watch the numbers. That if one of them falls past a specific window, they are going to plummet. This is going to be like an Aaron Rodgers type situation where we just see somebody flop. I don't know what's going to happen, but would that really shock anybody here? With 5 quarterbacks sitting around?
I don't know, though, because I think if Justin Fields falls to, let's say, 8 and Carolina doesn't want him, I think someone's going to come up and get him.
It's possible.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
when you start to see the movement. That's when you see the Mahomes and Watson jumps from a few years ago.
Right. Yeah, a lot of people forgot, man. The Chiefs were like high 20s when they came up and got Patrick Mahomes.
That's true. Well, and the other thing being here, that there's a lot of quarterback needy teams in this draft.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely the higher picks have their work cut out for them if they don't need a quarterback. Specifically, like you mentioned, like the Bengals, the Dolphins,
the Bears.
Panthers. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm talking people at the top of the picks.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Oh, we're getting that Davis Mills pick at 20, aren't we?
Well, we can get the insight from a Bears fan here who's going to be making a guest selection for the San Francisco 49ers at pick number 3. Roberto, how you doing, sir?
What is going on? Nice to be here. How's it going, my fellow tortured Bears fans? How's it going?
Only 2 more days
till around the corner here. Not too far from my neck of the woods, but picking number 3. Obviously, a lot of back and forth and seesaw has been happening here with who the favorite is at this selection. But who are you thinking here for the Niners and John Lynch? Are we getting revenge for the Trubisky and going off the beaten path here, or what are we doing?
Man, what I will say as GM of the 49ers, I am devastated by the Justin Fields selection at number 2. Had I known that was going to happen, I would have tried my best to make a trade up. So very disappointed.
I'll tie your hands there.
So with that said, I am not a guy that is high. The 49ers need a QB. As a GM, I say we need a QB. Jimmy G is not the answer for us, so we're looking to move on. Now, trying to get over this Justin Fields selection, which, again, I agree with everybody. I don't get the hate right now. It's absolutely insane. So, with that said, my selection here would be Trey Lance.
Trey Lance at number 3. All right.
We are getting crazy.
And, I
like it.
And it's crazy at 3 now.
But he's my QB. He's my 3rd QB, and I will say that. So if you're in the market for a QB and you have him, that's my 3rd quarterback.
I do think like San Francisco is. I mean, Shannon can pretty much get a lot out of quarterbacks. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo's not a good quarterback. And they get to the Super Bowl with their defense and run game. And let's not forget, man, he makes that throw in that Super Bowl. Was it late fourth quarter where he missed a wide open guy? They probably win that Super Bowl. So I think, it's a good fit for Lance. And I think he'll probably take over quicker than many think. And I think Jimmy G might even be shopped during the draft.
And honestly, with the way Shanny runs his offense out there, I think Lance is a good pick for him. They can use Jimmy G for a season. Lance doesn't have to come in and start right away. Maybe you get a full year out of Garoppolo and you can move on from him and Lance can step in next year. I really like Lance's upside. He's got this is a weird generational comp, but he reminds me a little bit body type and just his skill set, a little bit of Dante Culpepper. He's like kind of a thickly built guy with a big arm. He runs a little bit more, but that might be because of the arrow we play him. But I really like Trey Lance. He's my QB3.
That is not a bad comp at all. Dante Culpepper.
Thank you.
I think the 49ers would take that too.
Get this going on the field.
Just as long as his knees don't explode. Just watch those knees.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah. And I will say this, Zach Wilson gives me Trubisky vibes. And I don't like those vibes.
That's a fair point because I kind of feel the same way, and it just scares the hell out of me. You look at his numbers against somewhat decent competition, where he's not going up against these fallback defenses that are allowing 400-500 yards per game in the college game. It's not good. It's just there's something there where you never really saw that next step for the competition level, and that's concerning on any level of competition, regardless of whether you're talking college or the NFL.
And that's the thing when you look at Trey Lance. I mean, it's a risky pick, a guy that really does not have a lot of experience going back to his high school days, college days, and all that. So he's raw, but I'd rather take that chance with the ability that I see from him, and Shanahan would be a great coach to kind of mold that kid. So, again, after our disappointment of Fields, thank you again, Nick, for that selection. Hopefully, Trey Lance, we mold him into what we believe. He'll end up being 10 years down the road. You know what? This pick, he'll be the best quarterback from this class. Mark it down, guaranteed.
All right, there it is. And so, Roberto, before you head out here, let everybody know where they can find your work and you on social media as well.
Yes, so you can find me on Twitter right there at rs_smooth. And I contribute for some Dynasty-related stuff for the Dynasty Vipers.
That is correct. Big group over there at the Dynasty Vipers.
It is.
Fantastic work. So thank you again for hopping on. I know that the Bears are your first love here, but hopefully setting up the Niners here in imaginary land as a solid QB of the future.
You know what? I should have screwed them over on this pick. My bad. Anyways,
we had the chance.
Have a great rest of the show.
All right. Take care. All right. We are to pick number 4. We're just going to keep this train rolling. We're actually going to head overseas. We're hitting up the Keg as a part of the Keg and Midge podcast. Keg, how you doing?
Yeah, good. Thanks, guys. How you doing?
Doing well. Got pick number 4 here with the Atlanta Falcons. A little bit of a different board than I think a lot of us have seen thus far, but we'll get you right into it. Pick number 4, based on who's left on the board, who are the Falcons taking?
Yeah, well, I'm really against this taking a quarterback this year, but Wilson's still on the board, so it sort of tempts me right now. I'm going to go Kyle Pitts. I'm hoping we trade down. I think we've got defensive players that we need, but we'll take Pitts. He's the best player that's not a quarterback in this draft, and he's just going to, take the offense to another level.
Absolutely. I mean, it's extremely tempting, and I know one of the big talks has been Matt Ryan's contract and just how many years left he has in a Falcons uniform. I mean, a pick like this, especially at number 4, it pretty much solidifies he might be sticking around for 2-3 more years to see if they can put something together down in Atlanta, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I mean, I just disagree with taking a rookie to sit behind Matt for 2 years. You waste most of his rookie contract, and there's talks about trading Julio now as well because of the cap issue. So, Pitts could come in and take over that mantle, really.
Absolutely. I mean, Kyle Pitts, I mean, again, the athleticism and just what he was able to do in Florida. I know we've got the breakdown reports from Dane Brugler's athletic draft guide. I mean, Nick, there's really not a lot of bad things to say about Kyle Pitts.
No, he's a freak. Let me look him up real quick. I was going through my QB board real quick because I'm messing everyone else's board up.
You're just throwing everything off.
Yeah, it's my specialty tonight. I think everyone's coming on and seeing all the QBs, but this is what you could see on draft night is a big QB run. Is especially if things go crazy up top, watching all it takes is one guy falling. The interesting guys could be Mac Jones, is where he falls and who jumps up to get him. But Kyle Pitts, I'll just go to his strengths because they're crazy. Rare athleticism for a player his size, elite pass catching skills, twitchy body type. He went from 6 in 2019 to 0 last season. That's pretty good. Turns errant throws into catches. I wish we had that in Chicago. Effortless burst off his plant foot to easily separate the line of scrimmage or at the top of his routes. Moves with graceful bounce of a much smaller athlete. Swift long strides. Shows potential to be a yak monster. Light frame to go gadget arm lengths and room to add bulk. Doesn't back down as a blocker. He's ambitious work ethic and football smart. He lined up all over the formation, so that could help mitigate some loss from Julio Jones if they do go that route with trading him. And then above average production, leading the team in receiving the last 2 seasons. Checked in at 6'5", 245, and ran, what did he run? 4.4 in the 40. So he's a freak.
Yeah, someone that size to run a 4.4 is just,
It's insane. And then just thinking about you're plugging that into a potential offense with Ridley and Julio. I mean, just those 3 weapons. And I guess because this has kind of been one of the questions. So I'll ask you. I know you guys are Falcons fans. What is the deal around Julio? Because all of a sudden we're hearing these rumors about, is he going to be traded? They're in a tight cap spot. Do you think he's in a Falcons uniform at the start of the year?
Yeah, I think we'll keep it. I mean, we need to save about 10 million, but we can do that by extending Grady Jarrett. So I think that's the better route to go. I mean, Julio saves us about 15 million next year, but it depends what we're going to get for him, really. I'm not opposed to trading him, but I prefer to extend Grady Jarrett and sort the cap issue out like that, really.
Yeah, I'd say that's probably a better bet given what Julio can bring to the field and just the overall athleticism. But we'll see what they have up their sleeve. I mean, I guess there's if there's a decent enough deal out there for a 32-year-old wide receiver, maybe you do take it. It's
I think taking Pitts would make the trade more likely. Anyway,
yeah, just a little less painful. To say the least. But before we let you go here, thank you again for coming on. Let everybody know where they can find you. Tell them about the podcast and everything that you're doing.
Yeah, so just on Twitter, Keg Midge, and we just basically got a betting episode dropping tomorrow about the draft. That'd be worth checking out. It's just Midge and the Keg NFL podcast.
All right, thank you, and check them out wherever you listen to podcasts. Great conversation, and they get great people from around the league, fans and beat writers and all the sorts. So thank you again for hopping on, and
cheers for having me.
We'll see whatever happens here with the Falcons. I know they're kind of the key to the rest of this draft here, so it's kind of fun being in that driver's seat.
Yeah, looking forward to
it. All right, take care. All right. Well, we've got to pick number 5 here. The 4 is the most basic pick to this point in time. Nothing's really shocking there, to say the least. If I had to say so myself, but right now the question becomes, how far does Zach Wilson fall? I said, there's going to be that plummet happening somewhere, but here we are, and wondering where things are going to be. But all right, well, let's get moving on, shall we? Moving on to pick number 5, the Cincinnati Bengals. We're bringing in DJ Debbie D, a.k.a. Dwight. How you doing, sir?
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Doing
Great.
well. We got you for 2 picks here tonight. So you're in pretty close in proximity to one another. We'll see you again here at pick number 7 for Detroit. But in terms of how the board has evolved, obviously the Bengals in need of no quarterback. Trading down may look very enticing. However, not a case here. So sitting at number 5, if they stay at number 5, who are the Bengals going to take?
Because we're the Bengals, we're taking Zach Wilson. Why not? No, I'm just kidding. All right. I know what they're going to do, but as the GM, I'm taking Penei Sewell here. I just think you can't pass on a guy that can make this kind of difference on the offensive line. They should have learned from just down the road where Indianapolis grabbed Quentin Nelson and kind of just really revamped the way their whole offense ran, and it just gives the offensive line a different identity. I know their offensive line is improving. We get Jonah Williams back finally, and they picked up Riley Reif. So there are some pieces there, but you cannot pass on Penei Sewell. He's just a mauler. He's got a nasty disposition. The kid looks like he's 18. He's going to get bigger, stronger, better. You just can't pass on that, and they will, but I'm not going to. So.
Yeah, you can't pass on that, especially after watching Joe Burrow get hit that bad and that hard that many times last year. It's like that picture he posted of him sitting with the new uniforms. You see the giant scar on his knee.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, don't let this happen again. Give me some protection here on the offensive line.
Protect the kid, exactly, yeah. It's a no-brainer. That's why they won't do it. So it's, yeah. Then after my pick, I quit because I hate the Browns. They're terrible owners. So I'm done.
I mean, to all points. I mean, Jamar Chase looks so enticing there. I mean, it's like, oh,
he is.
All the stories about the LSU connection and pairing him with Joe Burrow. You keep your quarterback happy. No offense, but your quarterback's going to be a lot happier if he's not injured again.
Right.
I mean, that's all that there needs to be said about.
Let's be real. If Jamar Chase played at Florida or played at Auburn or Alabama, it wouldn't be as much talk pairing him with Joe Burrow. You know what I mean?
No.
Like it's that whole LSU factor.
No, absolutely.
I'm coming to terms with it. If it happens, I'm okay with it. I still think it gives them a crazy good duo with him and Higgins. That'd be beautiful. And, they can still grab another offensive lineman in a second. So I'm coming to terms with it, but I really, really want him to take Sewell. I just think it's a no-brainer, and I think they've got to do it. So.
Yeah, if you're going to grab a tackle high in this draft, Sewell's about the only guy I like. I'm not crazy about this tackle draft at the top. I think there's some good depth with it. So if you're looking second, third round for some guys, I think you can find some quality starters. I don't think you can find a bookend left tackle in this draft. I'm not 100% sold on Sewell, but it's good depth. So if you do roll the dice on Chase, you better be using the rest of those picks on offensive line in the next few rounds.
Hey, a one-year plug of Riley Reif doesn't do it for you?
No, definitely not. Especially if I got a quarterback limping around back there.
Hey, what's another ACL tear? I mean, Carson Palmer. Why not Joe Burrow? Just making it a franchise run here. So. I mean, yeah, it feels like it was mentioned, and like what Zach said, like if it was another school that we're talking about here, Jamar Chase isn't as enticing here, and just the fact T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd are a decent 1-2 combination for any team. I think there were a lot of teams out there that would take those two over what they currently have. So, I mean. Yeah, the rich can get richer at a specific position, but if you want to win football games, protect your damn quarterback. Let Joe Mixon run so all the Joe Mixon truthers can have their moment in the sun, which I know has been a struggle and a half here over the last couple of years with him getting bottled up, thanks to that offensive line, to say the least.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense with how deep these wide receivers are also. I mean, you could easily grab another really good option in the third, fourth round. So to me, it doesn't make any sense at all. But
yep, absolutely. Well, we got you back here in 2 picks coming back for the Detroit Lions. But before we let you go here for this first rollout, if you just want to let everybody know where they can find you and also on social media.
Sure. Just real quick on Twitter, I'm at FF Peoples Champ, the Dev Manual podcast. I write with the Dynasty Nerds and over at Campus to Canton as well. So that's pretty much it. See you guys in a couple picks.
Sounds good. We will talk to you in a little bit.
Later.
All righty. Well, we are at pick number 6. We have a duplicate here like we did for the Jets. One of 4 teams that have 2 first-round picks. Must be nice to have duplicate first-round picks in this draft. Like it pains me that it's bad enough the Bears are picking at 20, but yet here we are. And thanks to a dropping of a offensive tackle because he wore a gas mask filled with weed, the Miami Dolphins are in a fantastic spot. And with that, we turn to Jason Sarney. How you doing, Jason?
I'm doing great, and I like the. Can I be called duplicate from now on? Like I'm like the duplicate. Awesome. I love it.
We'll call you the clone.
Either way, it works. That works.
There you go. All right. Well, I know you have been very excited about the potential surrounding this draft, being the Dolphins fan that you are. Pick 6, a little bit lower than 3, but you piled up a nice round of selections there with that trade with the Niners. Where are the Miami Dolphins going here at pick number 6?
Well, I got to tell you, how much time do I have? Number one. I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. I know everyone's like, no, he's going to talk. But I got a hard line and I got a cell phone. Because I'm curious if anybody's, just kicking the tires. But I am thrilled with the way that the board is materialized because I did not think that Ja'Marr Chase would be around. I do think that Penei Sewell should be the pick by Cincinnati. So I am inclined to make a selection. But if the Dolphins were smart, they'd probably take some phone calls. But I'm probably going to make the pick here unless, again, anybody wants to make a call. Whatever. But I did say earlier today that you'd have to be a fool or someone would have to do a million different things to try to convince me and would fail to not pick Ja'Marr Chase if he's available and if Kyle Pitts is gone, and that had happened. So I am going to make the pick, and I am going to pick the beastly receiver that Ja'Marr Chase is from LSU, and I'm going to be doing handstands on the virtual table right now. So Ja'Marr Chase. Ja'Marr Chase. Forget the Expo hat. Let's go.
There we go.
Let's go.
Worked out perfect.
I'm ready. I was prepared, guys. I was prepared.
You were prepared. All right.
I didn't want to, but I'm very happy right now.
Oh man,
Very happy.
It's hard to find the. I don't. Common sense is kind of a bad term. The people that don't believe Ja'Marr Chase is the number 1 wide receiver prospect in this class, the dude is just a beast. And yeah, you can argue the fact that, okay, he didn't play at all in 2020 and he sat out. That's going to cause some issues. You can't teach what he is as a football player. You just can't. I mean, there's nothing there's nothing there that gets you thinking, oh man, like I'm so worried about this pick. There's just nothing there for me that thinks that.
Nothing to worry about. I forget the year off. It's rested. He can play all over the field. X, Y, Z, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. He can do everything. I just love the guy as a prototype, and I think that it makes a guy like a Devontae Parker, even if an Albert Wilson, makes one of those other wide receivers expendable for them to still do business. And you run the ticket to the table for this pick, regardless of the phone calls, as I joke. But Zach Wilson's fallen. Wow.
He is.
What's going on?
Maybe not for long, though. There's a couple teams with these quarterbacks.
I feel like Carolina's going to be very disappointed when they arrive to see the quarterback for it. Carolina's going to be very disappointed when they show up.
I mean, there's a couple of quarterback needy teams coming up here in the next 3 to, I don't know, maybe 6 picks, depending on if you listen to a specific coach here about his second year quarterback that he picked in the second, or that his front office picked in the second round a year ago. But yeah, there's going to be some drops. Somebody is going to drop. I don't know who it's going to be, but man, I cannot wait to see who it is. I really can't, because it's going to be a doozy and a half to watch that happen.
The Bears are going to end up with Mac Jones, aren't they?
I know that our guest at
Phil will
20
go nuts.
will be ecstatic. So if that does happen, we'll see. Maybe somebody will sabotage us. We'll have to see what ends up happening here. But nevertheless, Jason, before we let you go, you'll be back at pick number 18. Let everybody know where they can find you, and as well as your work.
Absolutely. And thanks for having me, guys. I love this stuff. It's awesome. You guys do a great job. I'm over at finmaniacs.com on Twitter. I'm at Jason_Sarney, and I will be roaming around Cleveland in a couple of days. So I can't wait.
Nice. Enjoy it, man.
Oh,
Thank
man.
you.
I am so damn jealous.
Don't be. The traffic, the rain. I'm going to be miserable, but I'll let you know.
Hey, I mean, it's a nice little vacay, and given the fact that we've all kind of been cooped up here for the last year, I mean, just getting out and doing anything, can't argue with it, right?
Yeah. It's literally 24 hours. I'm doing night one and going on home. I'm going to be driving more than I'm going to be watching, but it's cool.
Where are you going from?
I'm actually in Pennsylvania, so it's really like 6 hours. It's not terrible. I went to school in Buffalo from Long Island, so that was like an 8-hour drive. Not a big deal.
Nice.
You're a pro. You're a pro at this point. For all the long
take.
drives. Yeah, give or take.
Exactly.
All right, pick 18. We'll see you right back here with the second selection for the Dolphins. Thanks, Jason.
See you soon.
All right, so not shocking at all. I mean, if Chase is there for the Dolphins, like that's smash accept, smash it. End of story, all done. Yeah. And this is, I think, where it might get interesting. Hopefully, the question being, is Goff the answer in Detroit? I guess before we get to the pick, yes, no. Zach, you're shaking your head.
No, sorry, I was trying to unmute. No, definitely not. I don't think Goff. You can last with him for a year, but I mean, I don't know. I was actually thrilled that they got rid of Stafford because, as Bears fans, I actually feared Stafford more than Jared Goff.
Oh, by far. I think we talked about it during the season. Is over the last few years, it was weird. Stafford had that one peak year, and then he had a season or two right after that where he was down after that 40 touchdown season, and then quietly for the last I don't have the stats for me. I feel like 4 or 5 years at least, he's been maybe one of the more underrated quarterbacks in the NFL, just with his level of efficiency and consistency of play. He's really tough. I really like Matthew Stafford. I think he's a little underrated.
Yep.
All right. Well, with that being said, let's long time no see, Dwight. Welcome back in. Pick number 7. Switching hats on us, moving from the Bengals to the Lions. What say you? This is kind of an interesting spot for the Lions, given the fact that the team obviously looks a tad different than they did 6 months ago. Where are they going at pick number 7?
Hold on. Yeah, Belichick, what's up?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Take it, please. No, I was kidding.
Are you just ignoring Ryan Pace's phone call?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't. It is a rough spot, and they could go. Like, I agree with you guys. I don't think Goff is the long-term answer. I think they're only due $15 million if they cut him after the year, but that's still a lot of dead money. They've got to get under this. They've been under a dead money cloud for a really long time, with these crazy contracts they've been giving out. I mean, they probably still are under dead money for Stafford somehow even. So I'm not going to go quarterback here, and I'm going to go with, I think, the best defensive player on the board, which is Micah Parsons.
Okay.
I really like what he can bring to this team. He's got that, Dan Campbell wants to bust some knees. This is the player he wants. This is the player you build your defense around. Micah Parsons is a bad, bad man. Like, he can do the edge. He can play all over the field, interceptions, cause turnovers. I mean, he is just a nasty defensive player who if Detroit gets him, I'm buying a Parsons jersey because I love Micah Parsons. And I know you guys are AFC North people, so have fun with
that.
Micah.
We are. Going to, Penn State is known for the linebackers, and that's a solid pick there to bolster a defense that has had their fair share of struggles here for, God, how many years now? It really hasn't looked that formidable.
They keep drafting linebackers, and they're just missing. And this guy's he's a can't miss. I love Micah Parsons.
Yeah, I think the Lions are, if they're in this position, I do think they'll trade back. But if they don't, I think they'll go with an inside linebacker, outside linebacker, just because, I mean, you know, you have to go against Aaron Rodgers twice. If you're trying to rebuild, now's the time to kind of do that and get yourself a cornerstone piece on your defense. So, yeah, I agree with the pick. I think it's a good pick.
Yeah, Parsons is kind of a safe pick at this point. I know there's some people that aren't as high on him as others, just because of some maybe quote unquote character concerns. But I think he's a really safe pick. I think he compares a lot to me. Reminds me of Anthony Barr, who was kind of drafted in this position years ago by I believe was it the Vikings or Jacksonville that took him this high?
Vikings,
Minnesota. It was Minnesota that grabbed him. But yeah, I think he compares favorably to Barr, taking similar position, kind of similar skill set. I think he's going to sit there and be really good for Detroit for a long time and be probably injuring Andy Dalton at some point in the coming season.
Oh, the pain that will bring all of us. Given
you mean Bears quarterback Zach Wilson, right?
Sure.
At this point, it could happen. It could happen at this point. So I know there's some people calling for it in the comments. So it's a possibility. It is a definite possibility. But Dwight, thank you again for hopping on for these two picks one last time. I know you just said it, but again, where people can find you.
All right, on Twitter at FF People's Champ. My podcast is Dev Emanuel and Right for the Dynasty Nerds and Campus to Canton. That's it.
All right. Thank you again, sir. And
thank you, guys.
We'll see what we have in store here on Thursday night.
All right. Best of luck, guys. Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Thank you.
All right. The first defensive player off of the board. And it's weird to see this much offense, but I don't think this would shock anybody if it took this long to get to a defensive player.
No, because normally in this position, you're thinking if guys are going this high on defense, I mean, you're talking elite pass rushing ends, and I just don't think there's that this year. That edge class isn't that
right. Exactly. It's I don't know. Like there's some enticing players here on the defensive side of the ball, but it just kind of seems like more mid-round guys that are a little bit more enticing versus these athletic freaks that seem to be popping up left and right. For what we have on the offensive side of the ball, but
and I think that's why the back end of this top 10, if certain boards fall a certain way, could get so crazy, is because there aren't those elite defensive guys that are no dub picks in this area. Like Parsons is a really safe pick, and in that way he's no dub. But there's not like a defensive end floating around where you're like, okay, I'm just taking him and he's rushing the quarterback for the next 15 years for me. It's just not going to happen.
Right, absolutely, and. Man, I'm curious now because that kind of went in a different direction. I was not anticipating linebacker there, but again, it kind of makes sense for what we have on the board. We're heading to Carolina, and the Panthers at pick number 8. They have a quarterback, or so they might think for the time. Yeah, they have two. They have Teddy Bridgewater and they have Sam Darnold, and Avram, how you doing, man?
I'm great. Thanks for having me here.
And again, we are slowly making our way through here. What are your thoughts at the board so far? How you feeling in terms of making this pick for the Panthers? Yay, nay?
Well, I'm excited. I was holding my breath with that Detroit selection by Dwight to see if he'd snipe me with one of my potential guys. And it is an interesting board, because there are some quarterback prospects here, Zach Wilson and Mac Jones. And I do want to say I take it personally when you said that Carolina has a quarterback. I'm not quite sure that I believe in Sam Darnold as much as others. So maybe that kind of showed my hand a little bit. But the problem is I'm not a Zach Wilson or a Mac Jones believer either. So this might be not as sexy as of a pick as we've seen so far, but I think you build it through the offensive line and give Sam Darnold, if he is the answer, what he didn't have with the New York Jets. I'm going Rashawn Slater, offensive lineman from Northwestern. And I think you could argue he's the best offensive lineman in this draft class. I love his positional flexibility that he has. And, you know, other than Taylor Moton, the Panthers don't really have anybody all that great on that offensive line. So I think this would be a great pick for them. And really, again, help out Sam Darnold or Teddy Bridgewater, whoever that is. Now, I will say if there were trades, I might be picking up, the phone from potentially Ryan Pace here down the street because, well, unfortunately, as a fellow Chicagoan, I can feel the pain of a lack of quarterback from the Bears, and maybe they're interested in Wilson. You know, I call him Trubisky 2.0, but that's for everybody else to decide. At the end of the day, I'm happy with the pick for the Panthers, Rashawn Slater. I think it's a solid pick, and you just build through that foundation on the offensive line.
No, I mean, I think that's a fair assessment. Like you mentioned, I'm sure Sam Darnold still sees ghosts with not having the time of day to make any type of pass. I still want to know what's going through Robbie Anderson's head right now, thinking, all right, I just got away from this dude. Now he follows me to Carolina. And, it's a solid offense in all regards. It's a pretty solid offense, and the offensive line's the only thing that they really are missing. It is a pick that does make sense if they don't trade out, which I'd be shocked, I think, if the Panthers didn't trade out of 8, just given the fact the board is going to lie something like this, I would assume, with maybe one less, main skill position player off the board. I mean, that's kind of where my mind is, at least.
You have to think if there were trades, they'd be trading out here. But I do have a question. And I mean, obviously the Panthers have a pretty solid receiving core. What makes you go offensive tackle here over either like a guy like Waddle or Devonta Smith? Just, I mean, I know your wide receiver core is really solid, but is it, you're kind of avoiding the rich getting richer there, I suppose, to solidify your offensive line?
So I will say if I got sniped at offensive lineman, I probably would have been going, Devonta Smith or Waddle, because, Robbie Anderson only one more year on that contract. DJ Moore still has to get paid. So those are things to consider. But the reason I ultimately went offensive line, I do think compared to where the Panthers are going to pick in the second round, the wide receiver position a little bit deeper. So, I probably wishful thinking, maybe Rashod Bateman falls. I love me some Bateman. Maybe a Rondell Moore, something like that. We'll see. But that was the primary thinking behind the Rashawn Slater selection.
I'd agree with you. I think the last 2 years, the receiver classes have been really deep, and I think it's kind of maybe hurt some of the first round wide receivers in the last 2 drafts just because there is such insane value. Like, I'm a big Amon-Ra St. Brown guy from USC, and I see him going, some places third round, and I think that's insane because I think in a lot of years past, he's probably maybe a second round talent. So I agree with you. I think there's some good value at the receiver position, especially if the board falls away and guys fall like Bateman, who I really like as well.
No, for sure. Absolutely. And Bateman's one of those guys I'm like really giddy about, but I don't necessarily know where he's going to go. I feel like there's going to be that one team that falls in love with him and takes him way too early. Could be the Bears for all we know.
It's going to be the Bears.
We'll trade up to 10 for him.
I wouldn't mind it. I think he's going to be a really good wide receiver in this league. I'm kind of scared.
He could be your Allen Robinson replacement when you guys run him out of town.
That's the guy I comp him to is Allen Robinson.
I was going to agree with you that I'm worried that Green Bay actually gets it right this year. Instead of drafting a running back in the first round or a defensive tackle, they're going to draft Rashod Bateman, and it's just going to be. I mean, who are you going to cover? Especially the Bears who got rid of Kyle Fuller. It's like. Ugh.
Since they've announced that they made the mistake, and now Rodgers is their quarterback for the foreseeable future, but who knows? Who knows what's up their sleeve this year for as poorly as last year went in Packers land. So before you head out, let everybody know where they can find you and all your work.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find me on Twitter at alldaypigskin. Also on YouTube, the All Day Pigskin channel, have that on there as well. Do a lot of fantasy content, NFL draft content, and then also contributing for the pregame HQ and fantasy intervention in the meantime.
You're just about everywhere these days, I feel like.
I'm trying.
Well, thank you again for hopping on. Again, the Panthers, I bet as a fan, you're feeling pretty solid about, where they're at and the possibilities that lie here. I know it leaves a lot of anticipation for Thursday night, specifically, being a Panthers fan.
Cautiously optimistic.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
That's definitely a good way to put it. Well, thank you again for hopping on.
Appreciate it, guys.
All right, we are a quarter of the way through. We're going to keep rolling on here, and we have the Denver Broncos. Are they a quarterback needy team? Is a quarterback going to come off the board here? Let's check in with Craig. Roto Heat Craig, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Fantastic. The board here, does it look kind of what you thought would happen, with the exception of maybe one or two picks?
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense the way people have talked about their picks. And if trades were occurring, like you guys have mentioned, we probably have a quarterback or maybe two already more off the board, because I think the teams will be wanting to move up to get their guy, especially if someone like Zach Wilson ends up falling here.
So with that being said, pick 9, is this the end of the fall for one Zach Wilson?
It is. And okay. I think the Broncos need to figure out whether they're going to have something in Drew Lock, or they're actually going to have to use a pick on a guy like Zach Wilson to eventually take over. I'm not convinced that Zach Wilson going to the Jets, like it seems like he likely will be good for him long term. I think he's a guy that if you look at what he did in college, he only had that one real big year. His competition that he played against wasn't that high. And at the same time, if you look at what he got from his offensive line compared to that competition, he didn't get pressured a whole lot. So going to the NFL is going to be a bigger jump for him than I think a lot of people are expecting. And sitting behind a guy to start his career, whether he ends up taking over in the first year or that second year, having him behind someone like Drew Lock creates that competition, but also lets them sit him if needed for a while, which I think would do him well in the league.
And I guess, because I know that the Broncos have been mentioned as a team that could potentially trade up here to go get their guy. Where would you stick the possibility of that at in terms of kind of waiting back to see where the board lies?
Like you guys talked about with Atlanta, that seems to be the pivotal pick here. Is a quarterback going to go here? Is someone going to trade up, or are they just going to take their preferred offensive weapon? If they have the opportunity to trade up from spot 10 to 4 without giving up 9, I think they will if they have a guy that they're locked in on, but they really haven't tipped their hand either one way or the other. And we know in recent years, some people are blaming Elway, but they haven't been able to figure out that quarterback position. So, are you going to keep throwing bad money at the situation by, compounding it? I don't know. It feels like they have a solid defense overall. I didn't think there was any value there. Offensive tackle, if Slater had fallen, I'd consider that because they need help on their line too. But with this board, I think they would have to go quarterback. And in reality, if someone like Fields falls past Atlanta, they probably are making calls if they like him to try to move up somewhere here, a few spots where it isn't going to cost them an arm and a leg.
Yeah, no, that's kind of the scary thing, especially seeing just how much the Niners gave up to go flying up the board. I think it's kind of left everybody else a little uneasy for the time being. But again, I mean, with the offensive weapons though, and just the fact that you're getting Sutton back healthy, you got Jerry Jeudy, you have Noah Fant, for whatever the running back room is going to look like beyond Gordon. I mean, that's still a solid offense to stick a young quarterback into to get him rolling. And really, even with on the defensive side of the ball, and you still have Vic Fangio running that defense. I mean, as us as Bears fans, as we dearly miss Vic Fangio, that there's obviously that piece there where he brings it regardless of what he does have to work with on the defensive side of the ball. So they definitely are a potential playoff team. It's just one of those things where they're in a tough division too. I mean, they're going to have to find their quarterback eventually because it seems like 2 out of the 3 teams in your own division already have it figured out, and you're playing from behind already. So if you don't have that piece,
you're kind of sunk in probably making the playoffs. So they got to figure it out here one way or the other.
That they do. Well, before we let you go, Craig, let everybody know where they can find you and all of your work.
You can find me on Twitter at RotoHeat Craig on there. RotoHeat.com is where we have all our content. We have an IDP show, which is my main area of focus on Mondays. There's a Dynasty show on Tuesdays, and then the Devy show on Thursdays. So YouTube, Twitter, or the website.
Sounds good. Well, thank you again for hopping on, and
stuff, man.
we'll see where exactly the Broncos land. I know it's going to be a crazy night and maybe an eventful night for them come Thursday.
All right, thank you guys. Have a good night.
You too.
All right, take care.
Take it easy.
All right, so there goes a quarterback, and thus leaves one of the top quarterbacks left on the board. Oh, where is it going to go? That's the main question.
New England is pumped at 15.
New England's getting a little frothy at the mouth, ready to hop up here. Obviously, I can't imagine a quarterback's going to go here at number 10, but could be entirely wrong. So let's bring in our GM for the Dallas Cowboys, Matty Daddy himself, Matt Reiser. How you doing, sir?
Jerry, just calm down, baby. I got this. Don't talk to Bill yet. We'll talk later. What's up, guys? What we doing? Y'all put them up. Pow, pow, pow. Cowboys are up. Y'all.
This is the best entrance yet, man. Everyone
Let's go, guys. Nick, Zach, and Steve kicking ass. Cowboys, baby. We ready?
We are ready.
I don't know if we're ready, to be honest.
I think the board's pretty much at your disposal here for what you guys are in need of. It's gone as well as you could probably imagine it to.
Steve, is it what we want or what we need?
That's a great question.
You know how Jerry is. Just because we need something don't mean we need it. I've thought about this all day. I've been in the war room with Jerry Jones. We've been talking nonstop. And I'm like, man, what do we need? And Jerry's like, it's not about what we need. It's about what we want. And that's where I was like, dude, we got to make a splash here. What are you guys thinking here? What sounds like the right move?
Man, I think if you're trying to make a splash, I'd say Jaylen Waddle, Devonta Smith. I think
that's a loaded wide receiver room. If they go wide receiver here, oh my god!
I mean, the Cowboys
are in the fanny pack. I'm just hearing y'all first before I got Jerry to put it in before it came on. So
offensive line, maybe.
Offensive line sounds like a smart choice. Maybe a cornerback.
Personally, I'd go defensive back.
Yeah, probably.
Surtain's pretty good.
Yeah.
Surtain's staring me down here. I'm higher on him than a lot of other Bama people out there, but I mean he's that guy that can turn into that lockdown corner. We know the secondary is something that the Cowboys could always improve upon for what they need.
Absolutely, guys. By the way, you are doing a great job tonight. Just
appreciate it.
Thank you.
We're already 10 picks in. You guys have been flowing. The conversation's good. The guests are amazing. It's been a good show.
Appreciate it.
I won't keep everybody on the edge of their seats. I am the Matty Daddy. I am a big Cowboys fan. Got a hold of Jerry earlier. I was like, Jerry, what are we doing? He said, let's fill some seats in the stadium. Let's add some entertainment. So I brought my fanny pack, Wrestling Mat fanny pack.
I like it.
You can find it Viridian Global, anywhere fanny packs are sold. So I put a little piece of paper in here from Jerry. He writes me notes still like I'm in school. To Matty Daddy from Jerry Jones, Dallas Cowboys, Matty Daddy. I was like, what are we doing, dude? He said, you know what? Surtain looks good. We're putting on a show, baby. We're going Jaylen Waddle.
There it is. Jaylen Waddle.
I can see it.
We got to make a splash.
It's flashy.
That's Jerry.
That wide receiver room. Man, Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, Jaylen Waddle, and Michael Gallup. Talk about a four. Oh
Hey,
man,
doesn't
that
matter
is.
if you got to stop offenses, you can't stop ours, right?
Yeah.
Hey,
They're going to be a favorite on Madden, just a cheese team on Madden now.
that's
It's a Jerry move. It's a Jerry move.
It's an absolute Jerry move. Yeah, shout out to C. Corey with his Load the Wagon show. I mean, that's like taking 4 wide receivers right off the top in a Madden franchise draft and just rolling.
That's his style, though, baby. I'm pumped, man.
100%.
Dak Prescott might throw for like 6,000 yards.
That's the plan. That's the plan. That's Jerry for you.
You think of just any 4 or 5 wide receiver set with just those 4 in general and thinking, okay, how deep is my secondary to match up against these guys? And I'm just thinking Kindle Vildor of the Bears matching up against any of those 4.
I don't know any of our defensive backs matching up against them.
Yeah.
I was offering Arthur Blank some oil stocks for his Home Depot stock, and he wasn't about it at 4. So we had to buckle up at 10, baby. Dallas Cowboys, Jared Jones. Hey, Steve, it's Jared Jones of the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh man, thanks for hopping on. Before we let you go here, you've been a hell of entertainment here.
Thank you.
Well, let us know where everybody can find you and your work as well.
Absolutely, guys. I do a fantasy football website brand, the Fantasy Affair, fantasy football, Twitter, MySpace, Facebook, you name it, we got it. I also run a wrestling brand, the Wrestling Mat Podcast. Anywhere you want to find headlocks to elbow drops, baby. The Matty Daddy's doing it, and he's doing it good. Thank you guys for having me. Shout out.
Thanks for coming on, man.
Appreciate it. Always love the wrestling talks.
I'll see the count. I'll see y'all when y'all do the second, right? I'll just hang out in the back.
That works. All
7.
Can I have some of these wine coolers, or do I have to ask?
All yours. All
you.
All right. If Zima comes up missing, it's not me.
Take care, man.
Bow, bow.
That is a tough act to follow.
That's a very tough act to follow, but I believe that our Giants GM can follow up that act. It's funny because I've known her for a few months here, but I don't think we've actually ever conversed face to face. Yeah, she's shaking her head no. But there's a first time for everything here. We are at pick number 11, the New York Giants, and with that, we welcome in Steffi Smalls. How you doing, Steffi?
Wow. Why would you guys make me follow Matt Daddy? How are you supposed to follow that? Come on, guys. It's late at night. I'm very happy to be here. Thank God it worked out. And yes, we have it. How is that possible? I don't know. I've eaten your jerky, but we haven't been on a podcast together. I mean, like, that's a little weird, you know? Friendships have different levels, but I'm glad that we're having this experience now. Thanks for having me.
I do appreciate you calling it jerky versus meat, like a lot of the guys tend to do on Twitter, and to just make it extremely weird.
Of course. Well, I have higher standards than that. Like, they're
a higher standard than Kluge and Jeff and the whole crew. So
oh my God.
Now that we've gotten past the awkwardness there, pick 11. The board is looking a little different. I know that the Giants have obviously picked up a wide receiver here in free agency, grabbing Kenny Golladay from the Lions. Wide receiver board starting to dissipate a little bit there, but pick number 11, if you are in the driver's seat, Dave Gettleman, who are you here at number 11?
What a person to have to embody, you gotta embody someone, you gotta be Gettleman. He's gonna trade down. No, because he isn't. So he made it very clear he doesn't get fleeced and he will not do that. But I think here the Giants have put themselves, for once in my life, knock on wood, in a good position to not mess up this pick, because you can't really go too wrong here. I noticed watching backstage and what I could catch from it, I'm realizing that the Lions and the Giants can make very similar moves. And I think the Lions movement is going to shift the Giants movement. So whereas I'm starting to get a little hotter on this, maybe we take a defensive pick, I think here with the tackles that I would want at 11 And with Waddle gone, which again probably will happen, where Waddle will go before the person I'm going to select, but I'm going to take Devonta Smith. It's going to be an easy add to this offense, give Daniel Jones another weapon, and go from there. I think some of the tackle value later on is definitely worth it.
You know, I love Devonta Smith. It drives me nuts that he isn't getting the recognition that he deserves as that guy, given what he was able to do really over the last 2 years at Alabama. And if we're being honest here, I think by the sounds of it, you prefer Waddle over Smith. Is that correct? If he was there,
it's actually so it's weird. Like, I don't know what happened. I don't know if it's that I hate that I like an underdog, and I don't know if that's what's like super swaying me. But I think that Devonta Smith, he's one of those guys looking at his football IQ, looking at his readiness to come into the NFL, and just he will perform at the level that we're expecting. You know what? You give him a nutritionist. Like, come on. Like I tweeted a couple weeks ago, I can gain 10 pounds eating Taco Bell. If you think in NFL, in one drunken weekend, I promise you I'll gain 12 pounds off of Taco Bell.
Some of Steven's jerky, maybe. Maybe this is a cross-promotional opportunity.
Steven sent me jerky, right? I ate it in less than 17 hours, I bet. Like, it's easy to, don't tell me that this kid can't gain weight. And again, like, people are looking at him as if he's your average, this is your average player coming into the NFL. No, it's Devonta Smith. Yeah, this wide receiver just won the Heisman. Like, oh yeah, he's average for sure. Are you guys crazy? Like, it's Devonta Smith. And his film, every time I watch it, I'm like, it's phenomenal. And one thing, even I just said this on my last pod, is body control I'm noticing as I'm getting more into like my film and my rookie evaluations. And now that I'm diving deeper into the industry, is like having body control and being able to, kind of get hit, but get out of the way, and it doesn't matter because you still score, is a huge thing in this league. And I think that he has that. You can't beat that with Devonta Smith.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think Smith is a good pick here, and I think the Giants, like, they're in a position where it's the wide receiver class is so deep, the offensive line class is so deep that they could go either or, and then still get a serviceable player in the second round at the other position. I mean, even defensive back, if they want that, I mean, their defense was really damn good last year.
Right.
They want to add
a defensive back too. You address that more, yes, could you secure it a little bit by a Parsons pick? Yeah, for sure. But, Lions took them. That's fine. I'm not going to get super high on a cornerback. I'm a lightening up to it. I'm okay with it. But, if you want to make this defense a little bit more elite, they went from 31 to 9, take them from 9 to 6. Cool. Like, I get down with that. I mean, we didn't win 6 games off that offense. It should have been the worst offense in the entire league. I stand by that.
And if you're looking at offensive line, it might be, if you're obviously not having trades here tonight, but if you're looking at Darrisaw or Taven Jenkins, you're probably New York are trading down because you can still get those guys in the 20-25 range probably. So if you're looking for a playmaker, a difference maker, I'd agree though. Devonta Smith is a guy. I almost feel like Justin Fields, where he's not getting the recognition or the credit he deserves for what he's done over the last couple of years, and people are just now sleeping on him for some reason. I don't quite understand it, but I really like the pick. I think he's a safe pick. I think even if he never bulks up enough to play outside, he's going to play in the slot for 10 to 15 years. He's a really safe pick here.
Yeah, and you look at, then you look at the roster at this point, and now you're talking Galladay, you're talking Smith. I mean, we've got Shep, Slayton, Rudolph, Ingram, Ross, Pettis. Like, you got this is like, now we're talking about as many weapons as possible. So all it's going to come down to is, can that O-line mature over the offseason? Do they add some weapons in that second, third round? And then, does Jason Garrett find his thinking cap? And I think this offense moves up from where they were.
So it's not on Daniel Jones entirely.
No, but it will be. It will be if he doesn't perform. I mean, what else does he need at that point? If we're going to Ingram reverse and curl root me to death, then yeah, it's still Jason Garrett's fault. But, if we can move past that, we've given him all of the things he needs. He's still obsessed with Witten. We don't know why. Ingram can't be Witten, but Rudolph can. That's the red zone threat. So, you give Devonta Smith another guy. He's younger. He can build with with Jones. Does it hurt Galladay's fantasy value? 120%. But I'm all in. I mean, as a Giants fan, how excited could I be at this point?
Win no matter what. I mean, there is a lot to be excited about. Obviously, trending in the correct direction as long as, like you said, everybody's favorite offensive coordinator can just get his act together and get things rolling. But we'll see. I think there's plenty to roll with.
We'll probably draft a running back at this point, to be honest. Like, knowing Gettleman, Gettleman will look at it and be like, let's take a running back. That's something he would do. So I'm not getting too excited. I'm starting to feel a little too optimistic. It's making me a little uncomfortable. But I think we're in a good position. And I think it'd be hilarious for Gettleman to trade back. After the media has addressed it, there is nothing funnier than this dude just saying, yeah, for sure. Giving the Patriots this pick and then just going from there is so damn funny to me. So I would love it. Check out your window. Pigs will be flying if it happens, but it'd be super cool.
We'll fly straight to Twitter to get the instant reaction from you, Steffi, to get things moving. So before we let you go here, I know we could be here all day where you're everywhere these days, and it's awesome just to see how much you've grown here even over the last 6 months. But we'll let everybody know where they can find you, all your content, and the floor is yours.
Sure, and I feel like it's like a bad dad joke that I keep saying now, but I think it's funny. So you can just find me on your timeline because I'm so annoying and I'm already there. But I said that one time, and now I'm noticing I keep saying it. But yeah, you guys can find me at Steffi Smalls with 3 L's for Tom Brady's 3 L's that he has. And then my next episode of Small Talk number 3 is coming out tomorrow. Very excited. And everything else that I am doing is going to be on my Twitter or your thread. So one or the other. Either, you learn to love me or that's it. I'm already in your face a little bit.
Everybody loves you. That's for sure. And again, well overdue, although you're too. Just face to face here and finally talking some football, not in a DM thread or anything of that nature. So, again, appreciate you coming on. And
I can't wait to watch the rest of this. Thank you guys for having me. Appreciate it. Absolutely.
Take care.
Yes.
All right. We are at pick 12. We're moving right along. The wide receiver board there, that's, again, not shocking whatsoever to consider what that second wide receiver, really even the first wide receiver in that Giants room has been here over the last couple of years, to say the least.
I feel like the guys off the I just feel like the guys off the board will be off the board by this point on Thursday, but maybe not to these teams. And obviously the board on Thursday is going to look a lot different than it does now, but I can't really say there's been any reaches or anything that's crazy. I just feel like every guy that's been taken will be off the board by this point, but just probably do a different team.
Yeah, there's probably 1 or 2 maybe that might be off that haven't been yet. But other than that, it's been pretty standard. Obviously, opposite of Zach Wilson falling, and then whatever Mac Jones, wherever he goes.
Whatever club they're able to wheel him out of.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that Mac Jones is going to be making it much further here. I could be wrong. Within the next 4 picks, we'll just leave it at that. But we move to the third straight NFC East selection with the Philadelphia Eagles. We welcome in Sam. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing fantastic. Eagles Nation here on the back half of this little stretch of NFC East. Some interesting comments that have been coming out from the coach saying that it's an open competition at quarterback. Is that going to affect any options here at number 12?
Not the way this board's fallen. If the Eagles are going to take a quarterback, I don't think Mac Jones is the guy that they would, plant their flag with. Now, I think it's foolish for any team in this range to plant their flag with McCorkle Jones. But, I just think that the Eagles are going to go 1 of 2 positions here. And I will have to say that, being behind the Giants in these mock drafts, and I've had the fortune to do a few. I always get stuck behind Steffi, and it's always such a tough act to follow, mostly because she's always taking the guy I want. And she did it again tonight. She took Devonta Smith. And if any of you guys follow me on Twitter, I know Steven does. I'm one of the biggest Devonta Smith fans, along with Steffi around. He is my number one guy at the wide receiver position in this draft. I'm extremely high on him, but I'm very thrilled the way this board fell, because there's one defensive player and there's no cornerbacks that went off the board. So the other position that the Eagles really need here is the other one I'm going to go, which is cornerback. I'm going to go with J.C. Horn out of South Carolina here.
All right.
And, he's that alpha guy that the Eagles are going to use to put opposite Darius Slay. He's one of the few guys in recent memory that you can really say has a chance to be like a Darrelle Revis type of shutdown guy. He can go by himself. He can match up with anybody. You look at his film, he's shut down numerous guys, and he's so much bigger than everyone. He's got the prototypical size that you love it to see in a corner, and he really fits our new defensive coordinator, Jonathan Gannon's scheme to like a T. If you're going to build a guy and you want him to be a prototype corner, J.C. Horn is the guy you come out with.
I mean, I'd say that's a pretty fair assessment. He's one of my favorites on this board as well. I honestly wouldn't mind him dropping to 20, but something tells me that's not going to happen by any means whatsoever.
You can have Farley.
Yeah, that's my guy. That's actually
does anybody want Caleb Farley? That's another conversation.
That's my guy. That is my corner for the Bears, simply because I think if he didn't have the back, I think we'd be talking about him with Horn. I think Horn is really good too. Like, I think Horn and Farley are better than what kind of people are putting out, especially with Surtain being, I guess, pretty much the consensus number one for whatever reason. I would definitely take Horn and Farley.
Can we stop taking injured defensive back, Zach?
Hey, it worked out with Eddie Jackson and Jalen Johnson.
Did it? Jalen Johnson was hurt a lot.
And so was Eddie Jackson.
I mean, like, obviously, though, if they stayed healthy, I mean, that's
upside.
It's one, yeah, a lot of upside.
But yeah, I really am
taking honestly, out medicals.
99% of the time, I'm gonna go for Devonta Smith here. That's the guy I love. But if J.C. Horn is there, if the board falls this way and cornerback, he's right there, I'm all day. I'd even go up as far as to say I would trade up to 9 if that's what they wanted to do, to go grab Horn in front of the Cowboys, who are rumored to be in the quarterback market because their defense is, I would say my grandmother could probably play better defense than them.
They need help.
Yeah, they need help.
To say the least. To say the least. You mentioned you got sniped there, and corner you can't really argue as well under any means, like you said, needing the help. But before we let you go here, if you can let everybody know where they can find you and where they can find all your work.
Yep, at Swagman95 on Twitter. You can find my work for the Eagles at 4th and John. You can find my fantasy work at 14 Personnel. And I also host my own podcast at The Show FF. And I got to go run to record a show with my boy Herms. So thank you guys for having me on. I really appreciate it. This was a blast, guys.
Yeah, perfect timing transitioning over into to Herms. We're picking up his team next year at pick 13. So again, thank you for hopping on, and again, we'll see what the Eagles have up their sleeve depending on how well this board falls on Thursday night.
Thank you, guys.
All right, take care. Okay, we are to pick number 13. We're going to take a little pause from our carousel of guests we have here, and we have one of us making this selection at number 13. That would be Zach selecting for the LA Chargers. I feel like this is the first time I didn't call them San Diego in a very long time, which I still have an issue of doing no matter what when it comes to this setup.
I will always do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like
the Raiders. It's never gonna not happen.
It's like Willis Tower. It's like it'll always be Sears Tower to me. it's just the thing for the NFL purists, obviously, with the way that the Chargers' time in LA has gone thus far. So with the 13th pick of this lovely mock draft, who are the Chargers taking, Zach?
Yeah, I thought someone was going to take one of the offensive linemen I was kind of looking at for the Chargers, and kind of like what we said with the Bengals, you have a quarterback investment that you need to protect. Justin Herbert, rookie of the year. I think you got to protect him, and I think the Chargers are going to go offensive line. Now the question is, are they going to go, if they're sitting in this spot, are they going to go Christian Darrisaw? Are they going to go Alijah Vera-Tucker out of USC? I don't know. Looking at the mocks, it's kind of mixed between both. Personally, my preference, I would go Darrisaw. I would take the left tackle, kind of shore up that offensive line, with an anchor. You got to protect Justin Herbert. You can give him weapons in that second or third round with wide receivers. Wide receiver class is deep. Maybe you can add to the defense a little bit later on in the draft. But I think, you go with Darrisaw 6'5". I think he's like 320. Good anchor on that offensive line. Protect, good in pass protection, solid in run blocking. I'd like him to fall to the Bears at 20, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think he's going to be gone within that 10-15 range. And maybe if that pushes Alijah Vera-Tucker back, so be it. But I'm going to go Darrisaw to protect Herbert.
Yeah, there's a group of offensive linemen here that I'm not entirely sure that they're going to fall the way that people anticipate them to, and kind of similar to quarterbacks. It's very possible one could plummet very quickly. That's kind of caught off guard. Darrisaw might be that guy. There's a couple others. I'm gonna go the way of the fantasy drafts and not name the players who are still on the board as those potentials, obviously, because we have some guests that are listening both on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, or even in the back room here. But again, there's a lot of just mid first round talent, which is in all fairness, given the fact that it sucks the Bears are at 20, that kind of works out given the need that they have where they need somebody to fall there.
Yeah, the Bears do. It's just I'm concerned that then you're taking a guy that you're reaching for a little bit too. I get that there's a lot of mid-first, but I'm not as high on this tackle class either. I feel like once you get past Sewell, who I'm not crazy high on, and then Slater, Darrisaw and Jenkins don't do a lot for me at 20. I know we'll get there at some point, but I know our offensive line's a train wreck. I'm just not sure. I like the tackle class later. I like the tackle class in rounds 2 and 3, not in round 1.
Fair point.
Fair point. When you're a team like the Chargers, obviously they could go wide receiver, they could go defensive back, but you have to protect that investment. I think if you don't try to and you wait in the second round, and maybe Alex Leatherwood would be a good prospect to kind of wait for a little bit. There's a kid, I forgot what school he's from. Spencer Brown, kind of a smaller school. Green out of East Carolina. You can probably wait on. It's just, do you want to risk it? I don't know.
Well, and the interesting thing to me, too, on this board is if you're the Chargers, you're getting really excited when you get to picks 11 or 12 or so, and Waddle and Smith are still sitting there. One of those dropping to you. I know Tony from Florida has been moving up draft boards. I don't think he gets to 13 to the Chargers. I don't think he's going to go that high, but he's a guy, too, that a lot of teams like. And if you're the Chargers, do you trade back? If you're really looking at wide receiver or even offensive tackle, depending on how you feel, this could go a lot of different ways. I'm not crazy about the value at the top with offensive tackle.
Yeah, it's really it's Penei Sewell and
Slater.
Slater. Yeah,
I even argue Slater might be better than Sewell.
I don't know if I'm there yet. I don't know if I'm there yet. He is. But we'll see. We'll see where it leads us here. We're going to move on here to pick number 14. They are the Vikings. However, we have a Washington football team. I almost said it.
Shut the stream down.
Put the explicit tag on.
Really? Come on, you're better than that.
Chase Vernon, how are you, sir?
What's going on, guys? How are we doing?
Good.
Doing well. Pick 14 here with the Vikings. They've been loading up the defense on the free agency side of things. Will that deter them from going defense again here in the first round, or where are they going here?
Well, the thing about like the defense, right, is it completely fell apart back last year. So we sit there and we look at their defense from last season. They lost 6 starters, I believe, and I think 1 second string guy. So sitting there and looking at them going defense is completely understandable. Players like Quitty Pay is definitely in play. I did not mean for that to rhyme, by the way. And then we have guys like Micah Parsons who are in play. And I personally really love Alijah Vera-Tucker here. I think it's the perfect fit that you could actually pick for the Vikings. But there's another player that is actually still on the board that I think the Vikings would opt to, because guess what? Their stud quarterback has 1 year left on the contract. And
there
he goes.
I don't know if I can pass this point. So, Alijah Vera-Tucker is a really sexy pick, and I would not be shocked if they picked it. I'm kind of surprised he was on the board after, going through like the Giants, the Eagles who had offensive line issues, even the Chargers to an extent, although I think Darrisaw is a fair pick. I honestly don't see how they pass on Matt Jones, who, I've been from the film that I've watched and everything like that, like it's almost like a carbon copy of Kirk Cousins, but a more polished version, a little bit less arm strength, smart decision maker. I think that Kirk Cousins is the pick. I'm sorry. I think that Matt Jones is the pick.
I think you've upset Bob.
So Bob told me we're in a trivia thing as we're like, that's why I was a few seconds late, because we're in a trivia thing together, and Bob told me he was picking for the Patriots. And I was like, oh, Bob, you're going to hate me so much, because he has no idea where I was picking. He did not know that I was picking with the Vikings. And honestly, there's no way that I could let Matt Jones slip. Jones slip to that point.
It's quite the fall. I'm gonna make an exception here.
Yes, do it.
He has something to say to you.
Oh, I am.
Bob!
Is this PC? Is this a PC show? Can I? What can I say? I am serious.
PG-13.
I knew it, I am bull poop. I just looked at the sheet right after Chase said that he was picking, and he's saying he's picking before me. I'm like, wait,
I just said you're gonna hate me.
The Redskins aren't picking until like 20 something, or 19, right? And I'm like, what is he going to be able to do? And then I looked at the sheet, and he's got the Vikings. I was absolutely furious. I sent him down in the audience. We're on Clubhouse doing a trivia thing, and I sent him down to the audience because I've had enough of him.
Oh, I did get sent to the audience too. Really? No, just sitting there looking at when Kirk Cousins came out of college, right? Like there was plenty of times where he was making mental errors. He was overthrowing receivers. He was underthrowing receivers. He was not good under pressure until all of a sudden he came out, with that game against, Tampa Bay, I believe. They have very similar like mechanics coming out of college, and Kirk Cousins was able to fix that kind of stuff. I don't think that Mac Jones has to fix the same sort of issues that Kirk Cousins had. So sitting there and looking at it, I think it's a perfect replacement going forward. I think it gives, Justin Jefferson a weapon and the offensive weapon as a whole. And I think in the second round, they can invest in whether it's the secondary, the edge rushers, or even another wide receiver. I think it's completely feasible.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of different ways that they can go. Obviously, you mentioned all the players that they lost to injury, and just free agency has not been the kindest to them as well, whether it be just kind of the cap casualties or anything else that they've had to do. But there's definitely a few ways here, and maybe looking towards the future, if they think that that all that guaranteed money that they gave to Kirk Cousins is just, it still just makes me cringe to this point in time. But it's possible they could look to the future, and in the process, if the Patriots aren't able to move up, piss off the Patriots for all we know.
As a Bears fan, I love this pick for the Vikings.
I was gonna say I'm with you. I love it.
So obviously, I'm more of a Washington fan than I am a Vikings fan. And if Mac Jones fell to Washington football team at 19, I would not want them to take it because I don't think they have the tools necessary in order to make that happen. However, with the Vikings, right, and with the system that they run, with the fact they have Dalvin Cook as a back, with the fact that they have a budding star over there, which Washington does too, to an extent. But I just feel like it's the right place for a player to sit back for 1 year and kind of develop. I mean, it's going to take some time, and I don't know if Mac Jones is going to be that stud, but I think that he still prevents that upside. And honestly, the Vikings just want to play it safe. They don't want a quarterback that's going to be turning over the ball. They don't want a quarterback that's trying to make plays. They just don't want to lose the game because of their quarterback situation. And they showed that with Kirk Cousins.
Well, that's again, being able to sit back and kind of learn things without being thrown with the right into the fire. It's a nice situation for a young quarterback, to say the least. As Bears fans are obviously well aware of what happens when you have to throw your guy in a little bit too early, in terms of what happened with Trubisky after the Mike Glennon thing. We don't need to bring up any further past that point. Chase, before we let you go, let everybody know where they can find you and all of your work, sir.
Oh man, we have work everywhere. I've got 3 different companies I'm writing for now, including my own company, Fantasy Intervention. You guys can go check it out at fantasyintervention.com, FF_intervention. We also have Join Our Circle _ as well, or youtube.com/fantasyintervention, pretty much everything under the sun. So appreciate you guys having me on real quick. It was fun.
Yeah, no, it was a last minute thing. Appreciate you hopping on and coming in here into the Viking selection, and in the process pissing off Bob.
Yeah, Bob, who are you gonna take now? Are you still gonna make a pick, or are you just gonna
Yeah,
surrender
no,
it?
I mean, there is absolutely no way the Patriots are gonna sit at 15.
No, I don't see that happening either.
Yeah, Belichick's gonna move, whether he moves up for somebody or moves down, because he's not going to sit there. And this is kind of uncharted territory for the Patriots, is to be this low, right? I mean, it's been over 20 years that we've had anything around here. And since there's no quarterbacks, even though, you know what, I'm a little upset that he took the last quarterback on the board.
Are you going to reach for a quarterback now?
No, I'm not.
Oh.
That's not who the quarterback that Belichick is going for. Belichick's going for Fields or Lance. He's completely built that offense to change it into a run-first, mobile quarterback type offense. I mean, yes, he's had success with other guys with dad bods. I mean, if you remember Tom Brady's draft image, that's kind of like his wheelhouse. But I'm just gonna completely flip the script. But I want to hear who you guys think the Patriots will take first.
Oh,
I think they trade up, but we're not doing trades, so I definitely think they would trade up if Fields is there, hovering in that 8 to 10, maybe 12 range.
Right.
But if the way the board's dropping now, I think they could go pretty much any route, essentially, aside from running back.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know where they're going to go. Because like you said, it'd be a shock if they stayed at 15.
But this is a homer pick, but a guy like Owusu-Koramoah from Notre Dame might fall in here. That's the type of guy Belichick likes, like a Swiss Army knife guy that can play kind of outside linebacker. He can give you a little help in the nickel. That might be a guy that might intrigue Belichick if you're stuck here and the board falls this way.
One of the Miami edge rushers.
Yeah, Rousseau,
yeah, Phillips.
Yeah, those are very fair picks. But we're going to go with Patrick Surtain.
Okay.
The reason I'm thinking The reason I'm thinking that, I mean, his height at 6'2", 203, he's the type of defensive back that Belichick likes. Think of Asante Samuel, Darrelle Revis, Stephon Gilmore, Ty Law. He's never won a championship without a top-notch cornerback. I think Gilmore's contract is coming to a point where it could be cuttable or expiring. I'm not sure on that. I'd have to look it up. So don't fact check me. But I feel like I heard something about that possibly happening. So that's why I think if they were forced to pick here, they're going to take the number one cornerback, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised that Surtain lasted as long as he did with Horn going first, because I know there's a lot of people pointing to the Cowboys as the option there for the Bama corner. But it does make sense, like you mentioned. I know Gilmore's name's been thrown around as a trade chip here a lot over these last couple months. So really, I mean, if you need to go younger, you want to stack up those picks like we know Bill likes to do, that's definitely an option there to heck. I mean, even for somebody like Gilmore to pick up even maybe even a late first, early second at the rate that he plays the game, even though he's getting up there in age. So
exactly.
We'll see what they have up their sleeve. I know you're a little frustrated with the Mac Jones selection.
I like to play along with Chase a little bit, but it was the last quarterback that I think will go in the first round, and obviously the Patriots need a quarterback, and that's not the one, but it would do.
Yeah. I given the situation currently, I do not doubt that at all. Well, I know you're my partner in crime when it comes to graphics, but let everybody know where they can find all of your work and everything else in the Twitterverse and Dynasty and Fantasyverse as well.
Oh boy,
it's a list a mile long. Yeah, nutshell.
So basically, follow Steven, and when you follow Steven, you'll find me. Because basically,
I'm your shadow.
Steven just follows me to every site that I work for. Whether it's Steven and I do the Scott Fishbowl Abbey Makers, we do the Dynasty Vipers, we do the graphics for the European Fantasy Football Championship, we do the graphics for Fantasy Intervention, we do the graphics for Just Us. So yeah, I mean, you can find me on Twitter at Bob Gilchrist FF. And if you can't find me and you already follow Steven, I'm sure there's a tweet somewhere in there you can find me.
I guess that's one way to put it. Sure. All right. Thank you, Bob, again for hopping on. And we'll talk to you here soon. We'll see what the Patriots have up their sleeve on Thursday night.
I can't wait. Thanks, guys.
All right. Take care, Bob. All right. We are at the halfway point. I mean, a little bit of a mix-up here. That Mac Jones pick just threw me off completely. I don't know how to feel about it, but I mean, Surtain at 15. I mean, I don't think you can go wrong there.
Yeah, no.
At a pick like that.
No, really safe pick, really good pick. It's again, I think that falls into a Belichick comfort zone, though. So I think if Belichick is kind of up a creek at 15, obviously he probably trades out, but. If he's stuck in the situation, he's going to go to his comfort zone on the defensive side of the ball.
Absolutely. And I mean, that like you mentioned, you have a little bit of the bias there, but that's almost a perfect fit with that Swiss Army knife feel that he could go there in the middle of the first. Zach, you're back on the board with the Cardinals at 16.
How is it that I have the two teams that have pretty much the two similar needs in offensive line and defensive back?
You get to make all the boring picks.
Yeah, it's like the same needs.
This is what happens when you're the last into the room. You get the leftovers.
And Jordan here on Twitter pretty much echoed my thoughts. I was going to go Surtain at 16 and then kind of go with the offensive line, maybe, someone like Dickerson out of Alabama in the second round for the Cardinals. But, I looked at also J.C. Horn would have been a good pick for the Cardinals. We're going to go Alijah Vera-Tucker out of USC. Versatile offensive lineman, can play tackle, can play guard, actually played left tackle at USC last year, was pretty good, has played guard. It's not a sexy pick. The Cardinals need help on that interior offensive line. I do think, a wide receiver would be intriguing for Arizona, maybe a little bit of a surprise to kind of pair with Hopkins and Fitzgerald and Murray. Really the only position they're kind of addressed big time that, they could kind of avoid in this draft is running back, I think. They really don't have to go that route anywhere. So we'll go with Vera-Tucker. We'll get him some help. He's going to play inside. He'll help protect Kyler Murray, kind of shift over to the guard spot. And, the Cardinals need that help on the right side. So I think it just makes sense for them. He's probably one of the most versatile offensive linemen in this draft. So we'll take him there.
I mean, I'd say that's a pretty straightforward selection. I mean, it fills the need, and keeping Murray upright, and especially with the way the rest of that offense has developed here over this offseason, it feels like it's a pretty significant piece. Even though, like you mentioned, like J.C. Horn or even Surtain, corners in general have been pointed to that 16th pick, but with both of them off the board makes it just a little tough.
And, second round, they're at a spot where I believe they're 41st or something like that in the second round, where they, Asante Samuel Jr. could be there. Aaron Robinson out of UCF could be there. Heck, Greg Newsome could even fall potentially. Yep. So they'll be in a good spot to take a corner to kind of replace Patrick Peterson.
Yep. Looking at the quarterback tiers, I mean, if you kind of miss on the top two guys, depending on how you feel about Newsome, there's a really solid tier there, probably in the early to mid second. They can still grab a really quality player.
Yep. Yeah, they're in good position.
I think Asante Samuel Jr. is actually really underrated. Just looking at Dane Brugler, he has him as the 42nd overall player and the 5th cornerback, and I think that's really low for him.
In a perfect world, he's the Bears' second round selection. I know that ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, I don't think he's getting
just not gonna happen at all.
Yeah, they'll go Caleb Farley and then Asante Samuel Jr.
And they'll equal one Kyle Fuller.
Yeah,
we'll recreate him in the aggregate.
Yeah,
I just watched Moneyball, so.
Let's move into the second half of the first round here, and the Las Vegas Raiders bringing in Matt Donnelly. How you doing, Matt?
I'm doing all right here. Getting ready for the draft. I'm ready for this draft to already be over. I was just joking on our show right before this. I have analyzed this draft so many times in my head, I've actually forgotten what I was analyzing. So we've done mock draft after mock draft after mock draft. We've done player comp after player comp after player comp. I don't even know who's in this draft anymore. You know what I'm saying? It's been overload draft. We get here every year. I'm looking forward to Thursday coming up when this is all over. We had probably 2 more days of smoke screens coming out, but we'll see what happens with that. And looking here at pick 17 with the Las Vegas Raiders, there's some interesting options on the table here.
So with that being said, like you said, a lot of interesting options. I know they made a lot of changes to their offensive line. If that's the way they go, if they look to shore up that defense that showed some holes as the season went along, where are they going here at pick 17?
So we've got holes everywhere. We could address edge. I don't think they're going to address the edge position because they got Ngakoue and Crosby there. They've kind of solidified that through free agency. They could go corner. You guys mentioned Asante Samuel and Newsome, who I have both higher than Caleb Farley because those microdiscectomies that he's had on the L4, L5, L5, S1, those are huge red flags, plus the ACL reconstruction surgery that he had as well. So for me, Caleb Farley, he's dropping way back. I do not want to touch him on my team for anything. So for me, this comes down to really linebacker and offensive line. You got a couple good linebackers here in Zaven Collins and Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. These are guys I really like. Koramoah is an interesting one because his initials are Joke, so he's kind of a joker out there. You know what? He can play a little of that safety, a little of that linebacker, sideline to sideline. He can kind of go everywhere. So I don't know if he's a true linebacker per se. More of a maybe what Jeremy Chin was used in Carolina last year. Maybe how we're viewing Keanu Neal this year in Dallas, who's got more of a safety, but he's going to play more of a linebacker role. Zaven Collins is more of that true linebacker, can put his hand in his dirt, come off the edge a little bit, but more of a thumper. So those are the two guys I'm considering at that pick. However, that said, the last time the Oakland/LA/Las Vegas Raiders or a John Gruden team selected a linebacker before the start of round 3 was in 2005 when the Tampa Bay Buccaneers selected Barrett Rudd in the second round. So as much as I want a linebacker here, and I really do, it's hard for me to argue with history here. And it doesn't look like they're going to be leaning towards filling that linebacker role. So Zaven Collins for me is completely off the board here as well for the Raiders, if we're being realistic. So this comes down to Tevin Jenkins, offensive tackle. Don't let that choir boy look that he has going on fool you there. He's got the glasses and stuff, but he's got tats too. So he's going to kind of lull you into that false sense of security, and then he's going to punch you in the mouth. So for me, I don't think they can go wrong with either Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah or Tevin Jenkins here. I want Koramoah, but I think the pick here is going to be Jenkins when it's all said and done. But that said, I don't think after they cut everyone off that offensive line, I don't think it's as bad as everyone seems to think it is. I think it's a solid line. It's not a great line, but you build in the trenches. And we do know one thing about a Mayock and Gruden's regime is they like to go for character guys for one, and two, from the big schools. So it's going to be Koramoah or Tevin Jenkins if this is the situation. And because I'm picking and not the Raiders, give me the safety. Jeremiah Koramoah. I'm going to call Owusu-Koramoah a safety in this kind of whole setup.
My guy.
Scenario.
You threw me off.
Yeah, I thought you were definitely going Jenkins there.
Yeah, no, I thought about that. It's going to be, if this is what comes down to it, it's going to be an interesting conversation there. But Koramoah offers you so much versatility on your defense because he can rush the passer. He can drop into coverage. He can cover that tight end. Most teams are getting beat covering tight ends. He can do that. He's sideline to sideline. He's a jack of all trades, and he's mastered many of them. He's not like is a throw-in. This guy can play ball. He's from Notre Dame, big-time school. It's going to be interesting. And you know what? He's a pretty good character guy. So it fits the bill here. But I don't know if linebackers what he's going to be playing. I think he came in at, 215, 210?
Yeah. He at Notre Dame, I'm a Notre Dame fan and homer. He played what they call rover at Notre Dame. So he played linebacker safety hybrid in college. So he's going to give you a little bit of everything.
So watch for them to do something. They just brought in Carl Joseph. They could bring Carl Joseph down to play a linebacker as well and let Koramoah kind of float in the background. They can move these two guys in and out. We all know Jonathan Abrams is going to play 8 games and be out for the season. That's just going to happen. So you need someone who's going to be able to fill that safety role at some point. I just like the flexibility here that Koramoah offers the Raiders going forward.
I mean, I can't argue that pick whatsoever. I mean, again, just the flexibility, and especially given the needs that defense has, and again, it feels like a fit that isn't forced necessarily, but still lets them be flexible with what they need to do on the defensive side of the ball. You can't get better than that, especially when you're working with a young athletic player that has that flexibility, that you can use it to their advantage. And again, a very difficult division, nonetheless, that he's going to get tested pretty quickly as well. So it doesn't really handcuff a team putting a younger guy in there for sure.
And on the more anecdotal side, Mayock, I believe, played linebacker in college, and he used to call Notre Dame games. So now you have your conspiracy theory to go along with the pick.
Yeah, and like I said, normally they wouldn't buck history go linebacker, so I think they might view him more as a safety. You said rover there, Notre Dame. I think safety may be what you hear his name called as come Thursday, but he is the linebacker that could buck that trade. But man, Tevin Jenkins sitting right there is going to be very tempting for them as well because the dude – he's just mean, man. He has that nastiness that you want in an offensive lineman. they got Richie Incognito, which I'm sure would be a fantastic tutor for him going forward.
Absolutely. That would definitely, again, there's a couple different places that they can go, but man, I love this part of the draft. I love this mid round because I feel like it could go any which way, especially with some of the teams here where it's like, okay, you can't fault them if they go one way or one of other four ways and still say, I love this pick. I think this can do really well for them. It's a strange year.
It's funny because a lot of the teams in this range, they're not bad teams. There's not very many holes. You look at Miami, they've done a fantastic job filling the void there. Washington, they're solid on defense. You know, they don't really need anything on defense. The Raiders are unique because they suck everywhere. So they need help anywhere. And another guy, Christian Barmore, he's going to be in the consideration too, that big interior defensive lineman. The dude is a beast. He may be one of the best pass rushers from the interior inside that we've seen in some time. So he's not completely off the board either. And he's from Alabama. They seem to like guys from Alabama and Clemson. So
that they do. That's a very true fact.
They love their Clemson players. Hunter Renfrow.
We got him everywhere, man. Mullen and we make sure we hit Alabama and Clemson at least once or twice every draft year, it seems.
Yeah, that's very true. Even last year with Ruggs. So who knows? We'll see what ends up happening. But Matt, before we let you go here, if you could let everybody know where they can find you and your work, sir.
Well, man, you got to pull us big screen off because I get uglier and uglier the more you blow me up here.
All right, if you want full back, we'll pull back.
Catch me over at dynastyvipers.com. We got the Vipercast. Yesterday we had Russell Clay. Today I just came off with Scott Barrett from Fantasy Points. Next week, man, I got some big announcements for next week's show. Two of the biggest in the industry are coming on. I'm thinking big. 100,000 follower big type guys, like huge, like whatever. No big deal. So you can catch up on the Vipercast with Calvin and Tara and Major. We got a good thing going on there. And then you can also kind of tune in here. I've got a little bit of another mock draft going on tomorrow, but it's not your typical mock draft because I think mock drafts, we've done enough now. We've done enough. So we call this the fictional mock draft. So just to give you a little idea right now, FF Man Bun has selected from the Miami Sharks for the Jacksonville Jaguars, Willie Beeman as the first overall pick in this process. So another pick, Larry Monkey went with Reno Hightower from the Taft Rockets, just to kind of give you an idea of where we're going with this draft. So this is going to be coming out tomorrow. So you're going to want to check that out. Hopefully we get through the mock draft tonight so we can put this on tomorrow because I don't know about you guys. I kind of, once I get an idea in my head, I just kind of throw it out there and see how it goes. And this idea came up around noon and we just started slapping 32 analysts together to do a mock draft of fictional football players. So hopefully you'll check that out on the Vipers. And then, of course, it's draft season. I'm probably going to be streaming every day of the draft somewhere at some point, like most people are. And we've got our second annual draft magazine coming out with the IDP guys. So last year we went to print with it, and this year we're going to print with it as well. So you're going to want to check that out when it comes out.
Like anywhere and everywhere. You seem to be just about anywhere you can imagine. But it's
unlike Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, who's a jack of all trades, master of all, I'm just a jack of all trades, master of none. So you'll see me doing all kinds of things. I do everything about 50%. So if I get about 8 projects on the go, I do everything 100%, but it's like, okay, I got 5 different things going on. So that's 20% here. Let's go 25 here. Let's go 15 here. I kind of get about that. That's how I get my 100%. So
there you go. Well, thank you again, Matt, for hopping on. And like I said, a lot of different places that the Raiders can go, but we appreciate you hopping on and taking the wheel here for the Las Vegas Raiders.
Looking forward to it.
All right. Take care, Matt. All right. So a little bit of a curveball there with that selection, but honestly, I think it's a pretty solid pick overall for what we had there. We're going to welcome back in for pick 18, Jason Sarney. He's back. He's changed locations. He's on the couch. He's chilling.
I've been moved. I was a little too loud. There's some small children sleeping here, and the logistics of the home, I got to get the acoustics better. So I am relaxed. I'm relaxed and reclining for the teen pick here.
Well, with that being said, we'll hand it off to you. And who are the Dolphins going to select at pick number 18?
Well, I got to be honest with you. There were a number of curveballs, and like Matt, if you could do me a terrific favor and take me off the big screen, so I could thank you. But I'd like to, not for anything. Matt's a good-looking dude, but I'm not. But I need to see the the names on the board here because I'm not by my computer. But a lot of curveballs thrown. We had 5 quarterbacks go. So if there was a quarterback remaining, if let's say Mac Jones was not taken, I'd be calling the Bears. I'd be kind of seeing if there's any kind of wiggle room to get an extra pick, move back to 20, just to kind of do some business. But, I think a pick really should be made here. But there's a lot of guys that I'm thinking about. And the Miami Dolphins really have a lot of needs. A lot of people know that. But there's one guy that I normally wouldn't endorse in a first round or a position is the running back position. But as we all know, this is the second time that I've been on here. So the Dolphins have already addressed need one on offense, which is the receiver position in Jamar Chase. Thrilled about that. So they also addressed a need by bringing in DJ Fluker on the offensive line a couple of days ago. They also sent Eric Flowers out today. A lot of people are saying that it screams need for an offensive tackle or any type of help on the line. I don't necessarily think so. But with the amount of picks that they have, it's going to be really tough for me to pass up on a running back who could pick up first downs on short yardage, who could score in the red zone and the goal line scenarios. I think I got to go pick Najee Harris. The phone's ringing because I would love to move back potentially to maybe Baltimore's area, get some extra picks. But I don't think Najee Harris gets past either Pittsburgh or even the Jets or Buffalo. Another team to throw in there for the Najee watch is the Washington football team. So I am going to make the Bama bunch happy in Dolphin land and take Najee Harris.
And you're going to make all of the Myles Gaskin truthers cry.
I want to speak to the Myles Gaskin truthers, and I appreciate you all. You're a good folk, but as good as Myles is, he's a 7th-round draft pick. He's a complimentary back. He's a 14-touch max guy, and I like every one of those touches. But let's be truthful of what Myles is. He's a terrific complimentary back, but I don't think he's the guy.
I'd have to agree with you on that one. It seems like it's a pretty straightforward pick, and it definitely fills a need for that offense, given all of the other moves that they have made here over the last year, just in terms of that offensive line and the offense as a whole. So, again, it's a lot of weapons and a lot of things for Tua to take that second-year leap, a big leap, hopefully, with everything that is going on down in Miami. Before we let you go, here again, just where everybody can find you and all of your work.
Fin Maniacs again, doing a lot of work, and I really am appreciative of the staff we have. We have, guys who are putting out some terrific scouting profiles. We have some podcasts that just launched on the Blue Wire Hustle Podcast Network. Every day we're going to put out one, a couple of different rotations of hosts, and I'll be in Cleveland. So if anyone's looking for someone with boots on the ground, I'll be walking around downtown Cleveland looking for something to do.
There we go. Thank you again, Jason, for hopping on for the Miami Dolphins this evening. And
appreciate it, man.
We'll enjoy Cleveland. It should be a fun time.
I will. Thanks, guys. It's always a pleasure. And have a great draft process, everybody. Good luck with your squads.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Enjoy and Cleveland usually don't go well together.
Do we get Joakim Noah on the pod?
There's the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. There's
a casino.
It's like those old Cleveland videos.
At least we're not Detroit.
Yeah, at least we're not Detroit. Still rings true, but hey, here we are. Pick number 19 on the board now. Washington football team, another team that may be creeping up the board to select a quarterback on draft night. We welcome in Nate Creaney. Nate, how you doing, sir?
How you guys doing?
Doing well. Again, it's an interesting spot for Washington. Probably not a place where you necessarily anticipate them to stay, given some of their needs that they have going on. But what do you think the football team does here at number 19?
Yeah, so during my research, I picked up like 3 positions that we need, and I think it's cornerback, quarterback, and tackle, and also linebacker. And since the linebacker Koramoah was just picked, I was going to take him, but right now I think I'm going to go with Tevin Jenkins, offensive tackle. And we have Cornelius Lucas starting on the left side, I think.
Former Bear.
And we need to really shore that position up and protect Fitzmagic.
Got to get Fitzmagic his one Pro Bowl year to get him into the Hall of Fame. I know that's been the big push in Twitter land for whatever reason, but again, they pick up Eric Flowers, and again, doing this here with Jenkins in picking that, and that shores up that offensive line pretty quickly. Just the quarterback, if they can get Fitzmagic going. He's got the weapons. He's got Curtis Samuel. He's got Gibson in the backfield as well as Scary Terry there on the outside with Terry McLaurin. So a lot of weapons. So that definitely would shore up that one weakness that the Redskins are obviously looking at.
I also wanted to steal the Bears pick here because I know they were going to take Jenkins.
Yeah, thanks. Honestly, this board is the worst possible scenario for the Bears. Like, it's seriously the worst possible case for
this
for
has
the Bears.
Kadarius Toney written all over it.
Probably.
It does. Yeah, or Farley.
I mean, they're going to have to trade back, honestly. Like, in real life, I think they either try to trade up or trade back. I don't think they stay at 20.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting slot here. Part of me wishes we were allowing trades, but at the same time, it gives it a little bit more of a challenge. But I know that our Bears guys are up for said challenge as they've dove into the draft left and right, up and down numerous times here over the last several weeks. And we'll see what ends up happening. But Tevin Jenkins, like I said, anchoring that offensive line and getting things rolling. But before we let you go here, Nate, where people can find you on social media.
Yeah, so Twitter at Nate Creaney, and then also on Instagram. And that's it.
All right. Perfect. Thank you very much. And we'll see what the Washington, I'm going to keep saying that word, Washington football team ends up doing. But appreciate you hopping on and taking the pick.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All
We're going to get banned from Twitter and Facebook.
It's not like we were monetized anyway.
Cease and desist.
Yeah, cease and desist. There you go. All right. Well, without further ado, I think we should just dive right into the Bears pick. Obviously, ChiCitySports, your home for everything Bears, and our partners over with the Tape Never Lies Network. It's Draft Dr. Phil and Shane, the smartest man, Marsaw.
Who the fuck's that Nate guy? Get out of here, Nate.
Yeah, have fun with this board, guys.
You guys have had probably the most fantasy football driven stat scouts I've ever fucking seen in my life drafting tonight. This kid's got a quarterback staring in his face with an old man. He picks a tackle. Okay. All right.
Hey, I said
Nate.
we got Ian Book and Davis Mills ready for you guys.
Yeah.
Right here.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm gonna
start up the engine.
Adam Hogue this draft and just take Kellen Mond, even though his tape is awful and he's fucking 4 years away.
You have a better chance of Steven Johnson doing a lawnmower 3.0, breakdown. This is the crevice that always gives me problems, but with my lawnmower 3.0, it keeps
We're just gonna shave Hogue's head off.
Kellen Mond.
Kellen Mond take.
I will rip my TV off the fucking wall live on air Thursday night if we draft Kellen Mond at number 20.
I will
and I will get suspended on Twitter again. Everything.
It might actually warrant it this time.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be ugly.
Man.
That would be.
Yeah. It'll make for a great watch, though. So I mean,
I would lose my mind. First of all, the fucking Viking guy. You're not taking Mac Jones. You got $100 million investment in an average quarterback. That's where you're going to stay. It's never going to happen. So that kind of pick just is fantasy football land. Sorry, Steven. I know you love that shit.
Steven's got a draft, actually, a fantasy football draft right after this, actually.
Jesus Christ.
I'm just kidding.
I'm not lining up for it.
But the
Based
way that,
on this, I have my top two guys here.
This is a bad scenario for the Bears, and you can't listen when you're picking top 20 like these guys are. Phil and I were watching this and seeing how this was unfolding, and
we would be trading up, number one.
If
this even happened in this crazy draft, we'd be trading up with the Cowboys or the fucking Eagles, and Mac Jones would be a fucking layup because he's better than every quarterback up there side Lawrence. And you could take that to the bank, bring it back 3 years later, and I'll double down on that. I'll put my reputation on that. But anyway, he goes to the Vikings. Where do the Vikings pick, Nick?
They're what, 14, 15?
Yeah, there's no way. If that transpires, you're moving up. So in this scenario, the two best players I have ranked, obviously me and Shane haven't really talked because we had our own show where we were drafting head to head. We had a fight night, and I think I knocked him out in the freaking 22nd round.
He is punching me in my shins.
Taking out kneecaps, heading to Detroit.
Wait do you see those things? But, I'm going to push Ted Phillips the fuck out of my way and say, I need football guy. The top two guys for me, Shane, let's do this out loud with these guys because I think we're the only two together. I'm going to throw Zach Pearson out with Ted Phillips too when he brings up Kadarius Toney. Him and Ted could go downtown to Giordano's.
I'm not advocating for it. I
thought that's who you were picking.
No,
that's like God, I think turning into a Tony board.
Yeah, I think that's a total Bears pick if the board fell this way. I'm not advocating.
Oh, I would. I thought that's who you would pick.
Yeah.
Hell no. I know
if they were going to go wide receiver. Yeah, if they were going to go wide receiver, I think they'd go Bateman. Yeah. And I'm not touching the corner
going to wide receiver
with the back injuries. Corner. No way. I mean,
Caleb.
When you have two back injuries before you get to the NFL, that's a little bit of a fucking problem.
No, agreed there.
What's that?
I completely agree there.
Yeah,
that's a red flag and a half.
I do think they could go wide receiver, and if they did, it'd be Bateman, and then I think it'd be Rondale Moore.
Yeah, I like Rondale Moore if we were going to go receiver here.
More injuries there too.
Because of his versatility, he's explosive. But I wouldn't go receiver here.
Yeah, no,
I have an offensive tackle here, and I have probably a
BPA.
Best player available.
Quitty
Pay is the best player available that I have on my top 40. And that would be the discussion. Do we want so I have Dylan Reduns from North Dakota State here. That would be okay. I'm the coach. I'm talking to Shane, the GM. I need a left tackle. Charles, soft as puppy shit. Leno is got to be replaced. You got to get someone in there. Reduns is a technician. He's physical. He's athletic. He's everything Leno isn't right now, and he's hungry. That would be my push. But Pay, listen, like Shane said, Robert Quinn, probably 1 year, and then you're always pass rusher to quarterback. Are you going to reach for a quarterback? And Davis Mills here. Davis Mills, I love on tape. It ain't Kellen Mond, Adam Hogue, that I'm talking about here. That would be the only quarterback I think about, because obviously there's a huge need for quarterback. But if you're a true GM, it goes back to the best player available or the offensive tackle, which is best player available at your need. I'm not an Eichenberg guy here, even though he would be in the conversation. Eichenberg, based on him, this kid just took Jenkins out of spite. Jenkins would be the walk up, and I would sprint up to the podium.
Yeah, Jenkins, you turn your pick in within 5 seconds.
Exactly. And anybody saying Jenkins a
standing up in
guard.
front of your fans as the GM of the Washington football team and said, I just took the guy the Bears want because. Awesome job, Nate. Awesome job, Nate.
Who invited Nate?
Yeah.
Oh, he is who? Eichenberg?
Eichenberg's not a left tackle at the next level. He reminds me a lot of Lynch. He'd be on the right side.
No, we don't do that, Nick. You don't fucking take a guy at left tackle for 4.5 years, then put him at right. That's the Chicago Bear way.
He played right for one of the years at Notre Dame. They moved him left because we didn't have options.
Left tackle is where he's staying, but I'm not taking. I like Reduns over him. Shane,
I would agree there.
GM.
No, I'm in agreement there, Phil. But like I said,
the other corner is Asante Samuel Jr.
Yeah, he's being slept on, in my opinion, at cornerback.
Bears
love him too, by the way.
He would be the corner, but Eichenberg, left tackle. Don't listen to Nick.
If this unfolds this way, it's bad for Chicago, but you can't make it worse by passing the best player available just because you have guys there. And I'm not reaching for anybody. If I'm turning in the card, I know a lot of people are going to be pissed off, but you have to go BPA here because I think that Pay could go to the Giants. I keep on seeing people putting wide receiver.
Way.
He's not taking a fucking
If he's
wide
here,
receiver.
I would be shocked at 20
for the Giants. They're not going wide receiver. I don't think on Thursday night. I'd be stunned. Gettleman is a offensive line, defensive line guy. I think that's where he's going to go.
Oh yeah.
But
he loves that.
To me, as much as it pains me to see it unfold this way,
three guys would be. You're in agreement. Reduns, Samuel, Asante Samuel Jr. would be in the comment. Reduns, Quitty Pay, Eichenberg, Samuel.
Yeah, probably. There'd probably be
Rondale Moore.
If you're going to try to Bateman. Yeah, I'm a Bateman guy. I love Rondale Moore. I love his explosiveness, but he's always nicked up. And when you're that compact and you're having problems, those things don't get better in the league.
No.
Not in the NFL. I would throw a guy in here, Barmore, just in terms of
that's
Akeem Hicks is getting up there in age and some injury concerns and who knows. But to me, it's clearly if
it felt like this
calling the shots, you got to go Pay.
He's going Quitty Pay. I probably would have gone Pay as well because you go with best player available. You can't pass that kid up. I have him number 9th ranked player in the whole draft.
Yeah, we go Quitty Pay and we throw a bag of dog shit on Nate's front porch and call it a night.
So Quitty Pay becomes a Chicago Bear. It is what it is. You got to stick by your board.
Let me ask you guys this. Say Pay went top 15.
Yep.
You're looking at your board and you're going best player available. Is there an edge rusher? Let's say Joke is gone too. Is there an edge rusher you guys would look at too in the 5 best player available? Because I look at those 2 Miami kids and I don't mind the one. I can't remember.
Phillips is the scary one.
Phillips is Phillips is the one that
Are you talking about Rousseau?
Yeah, Phillips is the one I don't trust.
I'm an Ojulari guy. If you're going to talk about another edge,
Ojulari. I took both of those guys at Quitty Pay and Ojulari in the Shane versus Phil fight.
Yeah,
and I won the pass rush competition. Let me tell you that.
Yeah, and I don't like Phillips because I can't trust him after leaving football and then going somewhere else. And
he has immense talent, but his off the field decision. I said he could be Alonzo Spellman running down the street nude. Remember that?
Yeah.
You never know where that person's, center is. So 19 sacks in a season. Obviously, the kid is a talent, but you got to weigh that.
Yeah. So let us ask you guys. I mean, you saw where Phil and I went. Are you dead set against it, or where would you guys want for Chicago?
If Pay is there, obviously, I think you take Pay. Let's just pretend he's not. I would go, Jenkins, but he's gone. I would probably look at Bateman. I would look at an offensive lineman. My cat is jumping up here. I would look at an offensive lineman. Man, my thing with offensive linemen is there's like the way the board is going, there's so many that are just sitting there. I guess it's just personal preference.
Redun's, Leatherwood,
Cosme.
Yeah, Cosme's another one.
I wouldn't take Cosme here. Trust me.
What's the kid out of Michigan? Mayfield.
Yes, Jalen Mayfield. I love a lot. He would be in the conversation.
It's just it'd be personal preference for me because I like Redun's. I like Mayfield. I like the Notre Dame kid. I don't know. I'd almost go wide receiver. Even defensive back, I don't know. It's just
I would try to trade back if it felt like this, and try to get the Saints or the Jags to come up and get that pass rusher. Maybe the Titans. Yeah,
Cleveland.
Well, Cleveland
Buffalo,
signed.
maybe.
Cleveland had Clowney, and they got somebody else. Who did they get? Anyway, Buffalo.
Honestly, I'd go with. I love him. I think he's way underrated. I go with Asante Samuel here. He's probably my second corner on my board. I'd take him here. I'm not a big Newsome guy.
Neither.
Obviously, anybody with a back end who's immediately off the board, I'd probably go.
Yeah, a lot of people direction. I'm not a big Newsome guy either, but second round guy, yes, Newsome. Redun's to me would be the guy. If we're going offensive tackle, he's polished, talented, dominated at the Senior Bowl, shows you the kind of work ethic he has. I wouldn't even hesitate. Shane, you're going best player available there. So
you have to. If it unfolds like this, you
can't pass.
You're making it worse. Just listen. It didn't work out.
Or eighth
I know
in my top
Logan
40.
Frost. I'm not sure what his issue is with. I drafted 4 straight offensive linemen tonight, and he's asking me why I'm never addressing offensive line. So maybe I don't know. Get some fucking glasses, Logan, or whatever. But Jesus Christ. But you can't make the issue that unfolded in front of you worse by passing BPA. It just is what it is. And let's be honest, there's lots of question marks around the Bears.
There's no way the Giants would not take Pay.
Let's also be honest here as well. I mean, this is what 8-8 in getting into sneaking into the playoffs gets you. This puts you in that situation.
Yeah, it is what it is. But you just listen, man. When you're here, you can't reach. And if somebody falls into your lap like that, it's you go ahead and you do it. I mean, if I'm Miami, I'm not passing on Quitty Pay for a fucking running back. As much as I love Najee Harris, I'm not drafting a running back over Quitty Pay if he's falling into my lap.
Quitty Pay.
Yeah.
My father scouted him in high school.
Even Oakland,
place. He's like, this kid's going to the NFL.
Yeah, Vegas.
Even Vegas had a pass rusher that they traded. The fucking dumbasses. They had Quitty Pay there that I'm sure that they would be taking him since they traded Khalil Mack and have been looking for a edge rusher ever since. But I mean, this is I totally. Nick said it perfectly when we first came on here. This is
worst case.
DEFCON 5 for the Chicago Bears if it unfolds. And honestly,
and not even necessarily to the teams, but if those guys are off the board, no matter what teams they go to or how it shakes out in front of you, if you get to 20 and those guys are off the board, you're screwed.
Yeah. Yep. And I don't know.
You totally would trade up, though, no doubt.
Oh yeah,
Mac Jones is falling.
I'm trading up. I'm all in on quarterback in this draft.
Yeah, I mean, okay, let's even flip Zach Wilson and Justin Fields. If Justin Fields is sitting there at what is Denver 9?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, you're
trading up to Carolina.
Yeah. Justin Fields is not going number 2. I mean, I know who ever took
me.
Yeah. Yeah. No. I love Justin Fields, but he's not going to the Jets in real.
Oh yeah.
Life.
Like you were saying before you guys came on, this isn't predictive of 2 we'd take.
Right. Yeah. No, I totally agree. Listen, Phil and I don't agree on some things, but we both have Zach Wilson as our QB6. And that's just being honest.
Have Davis
Not
Mills over Zach Wilson.
Yeah, I'm not a fan whatsoever. But to me, Thursday night, I am all in on the Bears going to get a quarterback. Listen,
You have to.
Can you say that? You imagine you going to George and saying that our answer is Andy Dalton and Davis Mills, or Andy Dalton and Kellen Mond, or Andy Dalton or Kyle Trask. I mean, I'll burn my fucking house down after I rip my TV off the wall if they draft Kyle Trask.
Get the camera. Let's go.
Yeah. So, yeah.
It's going to be crazy.
Hey, there's a pretty damn good quarterback class next year.
Yeah.
Well, that's what you do. You can't pass on Quitty Pay here. I agree with Nick as well on the Asante Samuel Jr. He would be in the conversation. Yeah. To me, it would be hard to pass on Pay to get Reduns, because I'm telling you, this left tackle position in Chicago is like driving a fucking Lamborghini with a fucking donut on your tire. You know, you just can't even full throttle your offense because he's such a liability. And that's Charles Leno. I just watch the tape every week and it becomes a absolute joke. And any PFF blog boy that tells you any different, that you can win like that, it just is not the reality. Not in football. You can't. Unless Charles looks himself in the mirror and says, I got paid and I'm going to work my ass off. But we have not seen that here. And every Bears fan that has been a fan, I'll say this on your network, on your show, has lived the life of mediocrity. You've lived it. You got to try to be better. You got to try to have a fucking disposition like Tevin Jenkins has. And you see a whole identity of your offense change because somebody out there actually gives a fuck about blocking the guy in front of him and setting a tone. Until that happens, you ain't going to win. And that's why I say, okay, I'm going to fight for Reduns. The kid from Northern Iowa, Spencer Brown, shows more freaking pride.
He's going a lot higher than people think too.
We broke him down on X's with the O's, me and my father, 6'9" in the Senior Bowl, just dominating people with proper coaching. That talent there, and Barlissimo is with us, is there. So to Nick's point, there's some offensive linemen here. If you got to take Pay, or maybe you trade back with Pay, you know, there's no trades here, with Pay in your pocket, knowing that one of these other teams will trade up and give you something, then you take that tackle. I think it's quarterback or offensive tackle for me in the first round, and we took Pay. That's how it works. That's how it works.
Thanks, Nate.
However the board goes. But yeah, I mean, you got to take him if he's there. That's the absolute truth. I know we've got a wild week ahead of us here for everything we have leading up to Thursday night. I'll leave the floor to you guys here to plug what you guys have going on tomorrow night, as well as what's in store for Thursday.
Yeah,
go ahead, man.
A lot going on. Tonight we had the draft fight night. Me and Shane squared off, picked 22 starters. You have to check that out. That was a lot of fun, a different type of exercise. Tomorrow, Cars, the Bears nerd, our nerd, comes on the show with us. We do a live 7-round mock drafts. Shane's going to be, controlling the draft barometer, whatever the algorithm is.
Nate's not invited either.
Cars, me and Shane are going to go live with our final mock draft eve before we get to the big show. The big show will be Thursday with you, gentlemen. We're going to have a live coverage of the first round of the draft, second round of the draft, third round, but the first round is going to be special. We're going to have Adam Rank of the NFL Network coming on. He's going to come on after the Bears pick. We got David Kaplan coming on before the Bears pick. He's on vacation, jumping on from ESPN 1000 as well as NBC Sports Chicago. He's going to talk about what he thinks the Bears do. Then we got Zach Pearson above me in 80 bunch. He's going to be jumping.
Hey, look at
on.
that! I'm controlling their board here.
Yeah, help them out. Look at this. You're
Forgot
awesome.
you guys had the login.
So there you go. Keeping it 100, the NFL Draft Show, as we say, and we mean. I will back it up. The best Chicago Bears coverage on the planet. Former Chicago Bear offensive tackle, offensive guard Steve Edwards is in there. Cards and some surprises that I don't want to reveal that are going to jump on after the Bears make their prediction. So it's going to be a wild show. Already dealing with a wild night, because let's just say this before we leave here. Guys, what's your percentage going around? Because everybody on the panel right now is a Bears fan, of Ryan Pace moving up, because this is the only collaboration that I want to do right here. So
120%.
So 120, Steven says. So he's definitely moving up.
Ryan Pace.
Ryan, Zach, you're close. You're in the building sometimes. Maybe you're on Zoom. I don't know. Maybe Usaid took your spot on Zoom. I don't know.
No. I was on there today.
You do have some good questions. Can I text you during it and be like, come on, dude, just fucking throw Leno under the bus, see where he goes.
Yeah, I've been looking for a new job. I would say, though, to answer the question, move up, I'm still at like 55-45, yes. I don't know, man.
55 is a yes.
I don't know.
You're 50-50 is what you're saying.
I'm like in between. I'm 55, yes, and then I'm 45.
50% is the average of 45 and 55.
I know, but that's what I'm saying.
You're a little bit more yes, is what you're trying to say.
Some days I'm a
Are
little
you ordering
more
the wings as an appetizer?
No, chicken tenders. Some days I'm on the yes side. Some days I'm on the no side. To be honest, this draft has been literally the most frustrating to just kind of go through, because, like I said, this is what 8-8 gets you. You're at 20 and you're screwed.
They were 8 and 9.
That's why you have to sell out and go get a quarterback. That's where it all starts.
Yeah, I mean, you have
to gotta sell it out. That's why I think it's gonna happen. Nick, what about you, Nick?
You're muted. Get yourself.
I think Steven muted you.
I did not.
I'm not confident. I don't think he's going to move up. If you're asking me if he should, yes.
No. I want to know if you think he is.
I think he's going to sit where he's at. I think he's going to load up on offensive line and then give us some stupid song and dance about how he believes in the quarterback room, and in the back of his mind, he likes a quarterback or something next year. I think we're going to get some just drivel coming out of Hallis Hall after the draft when he loads up offensive line and wide receiver.
All right.
I don't have faith in this front office. You're asking me if I have faith of Ryan Pace doing the right thing. 0.
He has been known to trade up, Nick. I mean, I'm not playing 45-55.
And trade back, too.
If you want a number, 5%.
Has he ever traded back? He's never traded back.
He's not making the call on the quarterback anyway. Matt Nagy's making that call. Matt Nagy wants his guy. Nick Foles was just a filler piece because Mitch, had his little blankie in his water bottle and couldn't figure shit out. And Nagy's going to go get his guy Thursday night. That's what I feel.
You're betting. I'm betting that he's going up as well. It's the Pace way. He's aggressive. They're all in conviction, Zach. Just use that word in your question. That'll be a tip of the hat to Shane and Phil. Now, when you had conviction, Ryan.
I think he used collaboration twice today.
I put it in the open tonight of our show. I gave him that sound effect that in the horror movie, like boom, that scary like
every
warning.
time they used it. Yeah.
Every time he uses it now, that's what we're gonna play. They're so corporate BS. I'm embarrassed.
I mean, we're used to it by now.
Yeah.
I mean,
Zach, real quick, did you see Biggs' last mock today? Were you surprised by that? He's been pretty locked in on calling shots this year.
Lance
trading up for Lance.
I think he's right in the trade up. I don't think it's going to be Lance at 4. I think Fields is their guy. I really do. I think if there's anyone, it's going to be Fields.
Yeah.
I can't see. I think
I would take Fields over Lance.
Yeah, I think it's Mac Jones is going to go 3, and then I think Lance and Fields will be there. I think he'll trade
Mac
up.
Jones is 4. Are you trading up, Zach?
For Mac Jones?
Yes.
Personally, if Justin Fields is there, I'm trading up for Fields over Jones. But if it was Lance and Jones, I would probably. Oh man!
If you need to win this year,
If I wanted to, I would normally just mute Zach at this point.
I don't know, man. For whatever reason,
You're not taking Mac.
Mac
Oh
doesn't
my
do it
God.
for me, man. He does
Oh
not.
my God!
I'm
I
not
knew
a Mac
it.
guy. I'm not.
All right.
Here's my quarterback. You guys want to know my quarterback prediction? My top guy.
Yeah. Who?
Tank next year and go get Sam Howell or Spencer Rattler. That's my.
There it is.
Spencer Rattler is
True Chicago Bears fan. It's always going to get better next
Always
year.
next year.
101, 71
The Cubs is
years.
bleeding into the Bears.
Has to be, man. Has to be.
Oh man.
Mac
All right.
Jones, baby. Mac Jones.
The Tape
you
Never
go.
Lies Network, the tapeneverlies.com. Become a Patreon member with Draft Dr. Phil and Shane, the smartest man, Marsaw. They'll have coverage tomorrow night on their YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter channels, as well as, again, our big draft show covering the first round on Thursday night, starting at 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central. So be sure to check
Friday
that out.
also. I
everywhere.
forgot.
Friday,
we
Friday
got,
also.
we got some surprise guests on Friday too. Steven, are you going to jump back on as well? I'm putting you.
You're putting
He hasn't asked his wife yet.
Open invitation.
He's got to ask the wife.
Do I feel like sleeping on the couch for a night?
You
We'll
guys
find
can
out.
come back on.
I've been there
We
for
will-
4 months.
We will be live every day. So Saturday as well. Friday, you're going to want to check in. We got some great guests to join us as well. Kenneth Davis, under center, Sean Sierra, Sean and Maya. The guy that picks for the Bears is speaking for the Bears pick in the second round. He might join us. I'm just saying.
I know who that is.
I'm just saying.
Interesting.
So
Interesting.
we're gonna have a
D'Lo.
lot of
D'Lo.
fun.
Don't forget
And we
D'Lo.
have D'Lo. the
D'Lo
former
Brown.
wrestler. D'Lo Brown. How could I forget? Big Bears fan. He's gonna jump on with us to kick off the second night.
I need to see his entrance played. About
Yeah,
100 times.
we're gonna freaking give him an entrance and an offer. Well, anyway, we're keeping the other guests late, but
Now they know what it feels like to wait for Philip Toastman to shut the fuck up. So.
he's just blaming it all on me, Jordan. Just blame it all on me. I like Jordan's Run DMC get up. I'm a big fan.
He's got it
Anyway,
rolling.
Oh,
it's-
DFS.
It's DFS. Threw you off there.
All right,
Alrighty,
guys.
Well, thank you
Yeah.
again. We'll
Appreciate you
talk to you here
guys.
soon. And again, keeping with the Tape Never Lies Network coverage all throughout draft week here. Thanks again, guys. Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
guys.
All right, we are rolling along. We've got a couple internal picks here to get out of the way. We got 3 in total. We have Zach with your final selection, but first we go to Indianapolis, the Colts at number 21. And Nick, you are on the clock for the Colts.
I'll make this quick because I hate the offensive line board, and the edge board right now looks great. So I'm going to go with Azeez Ojulari, the edge rusher out of Georgia. Really has great instincts for the position. He's explosive. I love him. He'd be my top edge rusher in the entire draft, and I'm going to take him here for Indianapolis.
Yeah, I mean that's a pretty quick roll there. I mean he's considered a number 1 edge rusher for a lot of boards between him and Pay.
Yep.
Seeing him go back to back here, maybe we'll get a little bit of an edge run. It possibly could happen. We'll move to pick number 22 and the Titans. And Zach, your final selection of the evening.
Yeah, I'm between 2 needs for them. I think, even though their offense is run heavy, they do need another wide receiver. I'd be looking at Rashod Bateman here. Otherwise, I'd go defensive back with Greg Newsome. I don't think they can go wrong here. I'm going to go with Bateman for the Titans.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a way that they end up going into the season with Josh Reynolds as their number 2 wide receiver in Tennessee. That just is a scary fact. And yeah, A.J. Brown is a fantastic receiver, but my God, that is just asking for trouble of all kinds to get things rolling in that direction. Yeah, that's a solid pick. That's as good as you can get, especially trying to replace a guy like Corey Davis, who is headed to the Jets, who just happened to be the next pick at number 23. And Nick back on the clock after hitting up pick number 2. Where are they going at 23 with a rebuilt team there in the New York Jets?
It's always tempting when you take a quarterback high like I did with Fields to immediately follow it up with an offensive lineman or maybe another offensive skill position weapon. I'm going to go a lot away from that trend or that inclination just because I think wide receiver is so deep, and I like the offensive lineman in the 2nd and 3rd round. So I'm going to go Asante Samuel Jr. here, defensive back out of Florida State. He's my number 2 corner on the board, and he's sitting here, so I got to take him.
It just makes me sad, like that he wouldn't be a Bear. He probably won't be a Bear, but I want him so bad. Like he's that
so
guy.
Underrated. He's so underrated right now. He's a guy that reminds me. It hasn't worked out great, so maybe this is a terrible. But he reminds me a lot last year of when the Falcons took A.J. Terrell in the middle of the 1st round and kind of shocked everyone. And I thought Terrell was a little underrated too. I just really feel like Samuel's being overlooked in this draft.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think that's a solid pick. And again, it would not shock me whatsoever, really, even starting with the Bears pick like we discussed with Phil and Shane, that if they do make that pick at 20, I'm not mad about it. I mean, I kind of am, because it's like, what the hell? You just got rid of Kyle Fuller and you're just going to draft another corner with your 1st round pick. That whole sense, like, throw that out the window. But yeah, it's one of those things. You can feel frustrated about it, but at the same time, here we are. We have our we're going to head back to the guest pool here, and we have a Panthers fan making a pick for the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's Jordan Vanek. How you doing, sir?
Doing good. How are you guys doing?
Doing fantastic. Pick number 24, a last hurrah for one Big Ben, it seems, in the Steel City. What are they giving him in round 1? An offensive weapon, or are they bolstering that defense even more?
You can keep me small here as I'm looking at the board. I think the safe pick is going to be the offensive line. I don't know the medical reports on Dickerson. I would love to say this is a guy that the Steelers want, but we go to the other side of the Alabama offensive line with Alex Leatherwood, a guy that played guard and tackle during his time at Bama, was, I believe, the number 1 recruit coming out of high school. I think the Steelers want to give Ben that protection as much as ETN would be the fantasy football pick in this sense of the world. But I think they would rather just trade up in the 2nd and get Javonte when he eventually falls into that round.
So we're going with Alex Leatherwood.
Yep, from Bama.
Guard. All right. Well, I mean, it's definitely a position that they do need to rebuild. Again, just overall, it's been kind of a hit or miss setup with that Steelers offensive line. Honestly, if Harris drops, I feel like that's the pick there for the Steelers. All the talk has been they love Najee Harris and everything that he can bring to that running back room, because I don't think Snell's going to set the world on fire, nor is McFarland. But, I don't know at any point what they could end up doing here outside of that. But obviously, offensive line, the next best thing with some of the losses that they've had here just over the last couple months between retirement and free agency. It seems like that'd probably be as safe of a pick as you can get for trying to keep Big Ben injury free in his final season in the NFL.
Yeah, Najee was the guy that I thought would be there. I'll be honest. I didn't think the Dolphins were going to take him at 18. I figured they would go offensive line with the Eric Flowers move and Robert Hunt most likely going down to guard, and they need a tackle now. I think Najee is the running back that they would go if they do decide one, because I know people like, oh, Travis Etienne, just as good as Najee or for some people's boards. And I just don't think Travis Etienne's the bell cow. I think Etienne's the guy that you give like 15 to 18 touches to, just like Kamara's type of role, and you want that explosive play. Well, Mike Tomlin wants the Le'Veon Bell to give me 25 carries, and you'll just get 3-4 yards at a time. We don't really care what you do after that.
Yeah, that's. I mean, fair assessment there in terms of how the whole thing sets up. It's one of the few teams that I feel still wants that guy that they can just like roll with and feel comfortable instead of having to switch guys out for whatever they do end up needing there. But no, I completely understand the thought process there, and appreciate you hopping on. I know we initially had you set for the Panthers, but it's a busy time of the year with everything that we have going on, especially this week. But before we let you go here, if you want to let everybody know where they can find your work, you're starting to pop up just about everywhere. You're a quick rising star here.
Yeah, no, DFS wise, if anybody has any questions, they can reach out to me at Jordan Vanek1 on Twitter. I am a writer for Gridiron Ratings. I do work with Chalk Block with Bo and Scott Simpson, and I'll be doing some work as a DFS analyst for the Rum Boys Network. Those are the 3 spots you can find me. And again, reach out to me on Twitter. I'm very open to giving advice in that DFS side, like DraftKings, FanDuel, whatever it is you're kind of looking to take that next step into. I know me and you, Steven, had a decently lengthy call about it. Hopefully I can help you with making some good picks this year.
If you're able to get me out of DFS hell, you can get anybody out of DFS hell. We'll just leave it at that in terms of the overall skill level of what you bring to the table in that regard. But Jordan, thank you again for hopping on and joining us this evening and making the pick here for the Steelers.
No problem, man. Thanks for having me.
All right, take care. All right, so we are down to the last quarter of the draft here. Just a couple more guests. We got about a 50-50 bag between the picks we'll see here between the 3 of us and our guests on the board. But we're going to head back to the man that made the first selection of the night for the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are again picking again at pick number 25. Another Steven Polacek. Welcome back in. Nice little lengthy break there for you, but sitting here at 25, the board's gotten a little crazy since we last talked with you. But what we thinking here? Where are the Jaguars going at pick number 25?
So I will say the one benefit of having the number 1 pick is you control the entire board. I cannot say the same thing once you get down into 25 and anything behind that. I think what's really interesting about the Jaguars roster is they kind of have a really good position player everywhere at this point. Like we have a good corner, we have good edge rushers, we have good offensive linemen. Like we kind of have a main piece everywhere. But the problem is we don't have like any depth. And I think something to consider is we have this pick 25, and we're not going to get into it, but we also have pick 33, and I believe it's like 46 or something like that. We have 3 picks coming up in these next 20 selections, as well as our 3rd rounder. So we can really build the depth here. So I think I'm looking at just best player available for Jacksonville. A couple names that jump out to me, I think mocked a lot, is this Trevon Moehrig, safety from TCU, who's just high impact player, generates turnovers, covers in space. He kind of does everything well for a safety. Sam Cosmi, a real high upside tackle from Texas, who has played both right and left tackle. I think the biggest thing that Jacksonville needs to do is figure out a long-term solution for who's protecting Lawrence's blind side. Franchise tag Cam Robinson this year. That's essentially a Band-Aid fix to make sure he doesn't get smoked from his blind side. We'll see. He's probably going to get paid more than he's worth, but we do have a lot of cap space, so that's a possible solution. Caleb Farley, a corner from Virginia Tech. Obviously, there's injury concerns, and people are definitely scared of taking him. But one thing that Jacksonville has done over the past few years is eaten up the players who have slid down the boards on injury concerns. Miles Jack, Jawan Taylor, but were both early second-round picks that we took solely because they were injured and they slid that far. And the last player that's here that I think I'm going to make my selection is Jaelan Phillips, the edge from Miami. He's kind of dominant in the flashes that you see. He's another player who has a little bit of injury concerns, just in terms of durability, but I think the flashy plays that you're looking for, he brings everything. K'Lavon Chaisson was our first-round pick last year, and he had a good run down the stretch, but he wasn't anything spectacular. And without Josh Allen on the field, who was hurt last year, I think we seriously lack there. And if we're building the team up where we don't need to produce immediately in year one, I think building the trenches is a lot bigger deal than taking those skill position players on the outside, wide receivers, corners, safeties. I think offensive and defensive line should be the focus here. And while we do have solid foundations there, we could use these high upside players. And that's where I think Jaelan Phillips fills in very nicely in Jacksonville.
Yeah, no arguments there. Like we've discussed here recently, just scary dude. Like he will tear you limb from limb and get you everything you need in terms of an edge rusher. I mean, that's as solid of a defensive player in the late first round that you can make to really shore up that Jacksonville defense and get them back into a form that we saw, a few years back when, they were teetering on the brink of a Super Bowl appearance there.
Hell of a defense.
Yeah. So
especially Dante Fowler.
Yeah. Man. No, it's again, I mean, with the way that the board is kind of fallen, and again, there's a lot of edge guys here, a lot of defensive line guys that can definitely give you, that opportunity. I know there were a couple comments in the chat here thinking you might have gone homerish on the edge rusher in Oweh, but
I thought you were going that route. I thought you were going. I was like, there's no way he passes. I'm sitting there. No way.
Look, I'm gonna be completely honest. My homer pick is hoping for Pat Freiermuth at 33. I think that's exactly what they need.
Give Trevor Lawrence another weapon.
Just because we've tried to invest in tight ends. We drafted Josh Oliver in the 3rd. We tried to pay Tyler Eifert a lot of money, and our best tight end to date is Chris Manhertz right now.
Oh,
so
man.
That's okay. I guess I was wrong when I said we had a good position player everywhere. We don't have a tight end.
Yeah, and I mean, it's an obvious need, and honestly, that would not shock me whatsoever if he was the pick there to start off the second round with that selection. Yeah, that's a rough room. That's a rough tight end room. For as bad as the Bears were a year ago, that's up there in category. But hey, at least you guys aren't rostering 10 tight ends and you have no damn clue who any of them are. Or they weren't sitting on practice squads a year ago.
Yeah, but we do roster 10 defensive tackles, so we'll see how that plays out this fall. If we take Barmore here, as much as I am a fan of the upside, my goodness, we acquired like 5 of them in the offseason. I'm not sure that that's our best move there. So, which is a commonly mocked pick. That's the only reason I mention it.
I mean, it's very possible. There's a lot of options here, but I don't think you can go wrong with Phillips. Definitely here at number 25. Thank you again. I know we had a little bit of a wait between picks 1 and 25, but we do appreciate you coming on. And again, before you head out here, where everybody can find you and your work.
Yeah, I know I mentioned it before, and you can find me on Twitter at PolacekFF. That's POLACHECKFF. You'll also find my work. I do a self-published Dynasty Council with my friend Bryson. He's at Flow Dynasty FF. We published our base simple rookie guide this offseason. And I forgot to mention at the top of the show because I just had my first debut article go live, but I'm now a junior analyst for Roto Underworld on playerprofiler.com. If you're interested in my own 3-round mock draft, that was the first article that was posted today. Go check it out. I'm all sorts of dynasty and data analytics.
So just in time for the fun to unfold on Thursday. So go check that out. And again, thank you again for hopping on here and representing the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me.
All right. Take care. All right. We're going to move on into pick number 26. This is my first selection, I think. Have I made one yet?
Nope.
I don't even know.
Nope.
No. Okay. Haven't made one. So, all right. We're going to stop the bleeding for one player for the Browns, and we're going to go into the secondary. I know they've made quite a few additions more on the safety side of the ball, but I got to go Greg Newsome here at 26 for the Browns. Give them a solid guy. And again, really, this is a team that is becoming one that it's really hard to find players to fill the needs of a team that, again, it's kind of getting back to those levels of 2 years ago when everybody thought the Browns were going to set the world on fire after they traded for Odell Beckham. But all of a sudden you're picking up Jadeveon Clowney, you get Johnson in the secondary. It's all of a sudden turning into a very formidable defense to again go with an offense that's running a ground and pound in an age of airing the ball out. But I mean, the more that they build up this defense, I mean, I don't think there's really much you can go wrong in terms of adding another smart guy to that secondary room. I'm trying to think of just anything that would necessarily.
No, my quote unquote dislike of Newsome when I said I wasn't high on him, I don't think he's a top flight cornerback, but if you're adding him as a quality depth piece, as a 2 or a 3, gives you some versatility. I think he's a really good pick here. You could have also looked edge and keep going with Rousseau from Miami, continued on the kind of edge run we were seeing as well. I like the pick a lot. I think he's a solid defensive back that can slide right in and help you right away. I mean, it's weird to say Cleveland doesn't have a ton of holes.
Yeah.
And they're in pretty good shape as an organization in a certain sense. So it's really kind of weird to see that. Now it's just kind of getting that talent to play together. And they've almost entered that weird Dallas Cowboys realm of there's talent, but it's not playing up to what you would expect. So now you have to figure out that magical formula.
Yeah,
Right.
I was going to say anywhere on defense could pretty much use a boost. I don't know. They're wide receivers. I loved Odell. I don't know what to expect from their wide receiver core going into next season.
Yeah, I definitely think that Moore or Tony could definitely land here. I think that's a definite possibility to pair somebody up there. I mean, they have Jarvis Landry. He's been dealing with some hip issues in the last couple of years. So that's definitely something to keep in mind that's somewhere where the Browns could end up going. And obviously the knock on Newsome, the durability, just that wiry frame, he could get thrown around, and it could be a situation in which you're looking at a guy that, just can't, stand up to these wideouts out wide that are getting bigger, getting more, physical at the line of scrimmage and down the field in any type of situation. But, again, if the talent is there and the size is there, it's just a matter of if he can just bulk up a little bit and just find that durability. You look at the 3 years that he was at Northwestern, 2018 missed 8 games, 2019 missed 3 games, 2020 missed 3 games again. So, again, not the greatest in terms of that durability, but still that talent is definitely there, kind of along the same lines as Farley as what we had discussed earlier at that position.
This could be a pick for the Browns where they look and say, okay, who's our top defensive back, who's our top wide receiver, and who do we have rated more highly? And that's who they go with the pick. Like who's a defensive back we love? Again, this could be an Asante Samuel shooting up the boards late, or Tony out of Florida, or somebody that someone really likes that's going to stand on the table and pound their fist for them. So I like the pick for Cleveland. You could have gone wide receiver and not been wrong either.
Maybe Bateman if he falls.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep, exactly. So plenty of places to go, and the Browns in a nice position to be able to go in many different directions there. We bring in another guest. We'll see him again a little bit later, but right now we want to talk to him about pick 27. That's Thomas Tipple. Thomas, how you doing, sir?
Boys, thanks for having me. Great show so far. I've really been interested in this board. It's really shaping up to be an interesting one here, and I dig it. I'm with it. How's everyone feeling this evening?
It's
a funky board.
Yeah, it started okay, and then it just kind of went left, and I'm not really sure where exactly it started. There's a couple places you could say where it started, but it's taken an interesting turn. But here we are, the pick happening here for the Ravens, their first of two after the trade of Brown, and picking up some extra picks along the way. Again, there's some obvious needs here for the Ravens, and
there is
many of them on the offensive side of the ball. Is that where we're going at pick 27?
Now, the interesting part here is you guys aren't allowing trades, which I think was a great idea, because we'd be here even for an even longer extended period of time. I don't think the Ravens keep both of these first round picks. I think that they will end up moving back, especially to a team that'll toss them at their second round pick and collect another third and maybe a pick the following year. That's just the Ravens way. They don't usually do things like this and keep these multiple firsts. I mean, obviously they did it the year they drafted Jackson, which is fine, but I just don't expect that to be a theme. I'm also going to guess they don't pick two offensive players with their first two picks. That's also something they just don't do. It's not historically in their franchise. It's going to be an edge rusher here, and I'm kind of surprised he's on the board unless I'm just not capable of reading, and I'm going to butcher the name. Jayson Oweh from Penn State.
Yep.
The Nittany Lions. He is he's an athletic freak, and he's not your traditional edge rusher. He didn't record a sack the last season, and people kind of talked about it, but he's an athletic size guy that played pretty much primarily on the outside, and Tyus Bowser and Parnell McPhee are not going to get it done. I mean, they need help there.
Parnell McPhee still alive?
Somehow yes, he's still alive. He's still kicking.
You guys gave him back to us, and you could have kept him over there in Chi-Town. That would have been fine with me. He came back and he played okay, but and honestly, no nose tackles going is kind of surprising to me. I know it's a lot of receivers, a lot of quarterbacks, a lot of the fancy stuff, but nose tackle, someone's going to get drafted like higher. And the pick at 31, I'm going to tell you, unless something freakish happens, there's no way the next player that I think is being drafted by the Ravens he's going to be there. So stay tuned for that. Come back for that for sure.
All right.
But it's not going to be a receiver because, again, I think they're either going to trade into the second round with their multiple mid-round picks and grab a guy like Tylan Wallace, who just screams Ravens. It's tough. He has that attitude. But I think this is the pick here at 27. They'll get that freakish athlete edge rusher that can move around. He's got the size, the length. He could probably play a little tougher, but I think that one game against Cleveland and one game against Pittsburgh will snap that rate. I think getting slapped around a little bit will get that rate to you, and I think they'll address the offensive line a little later, given the fact that reports are that they plan on signing Villanueva and things like that. So I'm not going to reach for a tackle here. I think that the top tier tackles are kind of off the board at this point. I don't think they reach. If a player like Jason here falls to the edge, I think it's I think 35 seconds will be the clock on that pick timer. So pretty excited for the pick there. If he ended up in the purple and black, I'd be very excited for sure.
Cannot blame you whatsoever on that one. Excited to see what you got coming up here for pick number 31.
Yeah, baby.
We'll talk to you in a little bit, but before we do, we'll let you double dip here on where people can find you and your work.
Hey, I'll take the double dip. It's all good. So you can find me at Thomas Tipple FF on Twitter. You can find the Full Tilt Dynasty Pod on YouTube. You can also catch us on Twitch at Thomas Tipple FF as well. Thursday, we have another live broadcast of the first round. We have a slew of guests popping in and out. John Arrington, James Crease, Taylor Cornell, Chase Vernon, Jeff Bell, John Helmkamp, Corey Spalla, lots of guys. Great insight. Going to be popping in and out, just talking the draft and hyping themselves up, because that's kind of what Full Tilt's all about for sure.
All right. Well, we'll talk to you here momentarily in 4 picks at pick number 31.
Can't wait.
All right. Thank you, Thomas. We'll head to New Orleans. Pick 28. Who's got this one? Is it me? Yeah, it's me, I think, right? Am I reading the board correctly?
Yes,
it's me.
you.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, we're gonna roll here through these next few. We've got one more guest in addition to Thomas waiting in the wings, so we'll get to him here momentarily at pick number 30 with Buffalo. With New Orleans, a defensive side of the ball. That seems like the way to go here with the Saints. I'm gonna go linebacker. I'm going Zaven Collins out of Tulsa. That's my guy here for what the Saints can do. This guy, he's got the athleticism for days. A little bit of an older player in terms of just the wear and tear that he brings to here, but just what he can't do isn't necessarily a terrible thing, given the fact that the rest of what that defense and specifically that linebacker core with the Saints can offer. Again, kind of similar to what we had discussed with some of the corners and even Greg Newsome, and I'm going to blank out on names here as I'm even just looking at this board, but not necessarily throwing the guy into the flames off the bat and having I believe it was Koramoah that we were talking about in that regard, and just kind of letting him do his thing and being able to roll with the punches. But I'm going to go with Zaven Collins here at Tulsa for the New Orleans Saints, and that leads us to everybody's favorite team now at pick number 29.
Travis Etienne.
Yeah, take a quarterback. Take Davis Mills.
Ian Book. You want me to take Ian Book here?
Yeah, take Ian Book.
Nick, you got the Packers at number 29.
As much as we may not want to admit it, this is actually became a very interesting pick with the Packers now saying, kind of backing off the whole Jordan Love deal and saying Rodgers is kind of the guy for the foreseeable future. So now all of a sudden you're looking, do you shore up offensive line, which has had, they lost their center. Bakhti already had the knee injury late. You could go to the defensive side of the football and go edge with Rousseau out of Miami. Or do you keep Aaron Rodgers happy and give him another weapon? And that's been the controversy in this organization for years at the wide receiver position, not spending big there. I'm not a big Tony person. Rondell Moore to me is too small. There is one guy I love at wide receiver. He provides you versatility. He played the X and the Y at LSU. Terrace Marshall Jr.
I mean, I feel like Moore would have been the guy. I feel like that's the guy that pairs well with Adams that you'd want there, but you can't go. I mean, Marshall's been one of those where he's really fluctuated in terms of where people anticipate him to be.
If he had come out last year, I think this pick in the first round isn't as crazy. I think it was kind of a weird year for LSU. It was obviously a down year. My only issue with Moore, and he would have been probably the other guy I picked if I had not reached on an offensive lineman, was I think Marshall gives you more versatility, which allows you to move Adams around more. So I think Marshall having experience at both the X and the Y allows you to move Adams around because Marshall's so used to playing multiple positions at LSU. And Moore's good, and he provides you versatility in the sense you can use him in a lot of ways out of the slot, but I feel like he's a little bit more restrictive out of that position.
That's a fair point.
I think they're going wide receiver. I think that's a smart pick. They have to. I could have seen them maybe going running back if Aaron Jones didn't re-sign. But yeah, I think the smart pick for them is running back.
There's been talk at defensive back, but I look at a guy like Paulson Adebo is going to be available late. Like Paulson Adebo is going to be a great pick in the third round, and he'll be sitting there, and the Packers can use him there.
Yeah. Not. I didn't mean to say running back. I'm sorry. I think the smart pick is wide receiver. Potentially defensive back or safety as well. I mean, they could go either of those routes. What I hope they pick, like a tight end. Just reach on one of those. Reach for Davis Mills. maybe go for just an
Fill the
offensive
quarterback
line.
room.
Yeah, just go
At what
fullback.
point do we realize that the front office is just sabotaging the Packers?
Yeah.
It's a plant. Oh man, we can only dream that last year could happen every year for the remainder of time. But yeah, we can dream. We can dream. We'll head into the 30s now at pick number 30 with the Buffalo Bills, and at this point we bring in Jeff Bell. Mr. Bell, how are you this evening? I know we're a little bit late. We apologize for the delay in getting here to you, but the anticipation building as we end here towards the first round's finale.
I am great. Thank you so much for having me on. I thoroughly enjoyed your guys' breakdown of the Packers' possibilities. And with Buffalo sitting here right behind them, Davis Mills would be a great pick for the Packers to make, I think, to open up the board here a little bit for Buffalo. I am Jeff Bell. I'm at For Whom J Bell Tolls. I can be found at the Debbie Royale, my new pod. I can be found with Going for Two, and most of my work comes up on Fantasy Pros. That's where I write a lot of stuff. So I'm happy to be here, Buffalo Bills fan. I'm looking at the board. Debbie guy, so I've dug in a lot of these guys. I see Caleb Farley here, but I worry about his medicals. Gregory Rousseau is another guy that could fill a need for Buffalo, but I worry about him missing last year with the COVID year. I'm not quite sure. The guy that I see on the board right now that is screaming value to me is Christian Barmore, the Alabama defensive lineman. Buffalo had Quentin Jefferson kind of in a hybrid defensive tackle, defensive end role. They need to get after Mahomes, and I think that he's kind of the impediment going to the Super Bowl, and we saw with Tampa Bay being able to get after him with multiple defensive linemen. So that's the direction that I'm going to go. He screams value. I think they need some versatility on that defensive line, and would be a good fit and be able to free up some things to do some different things schematically up front.
Yeah, I mean, the first defensive tackle off the board, and again, like you said, just screaming value for what he can do and bringing to that Bills defense that, again, solid overall as it is, but just to add to what they can do and to just the havoc that they can wreak, and really the East now being theirs since the Patriots are finally, thank God, falling off the face of the earth for the most part. And who knows what they'll do by Thursday, but nevertheless, I mean, it's really the world is their oyster at this point in Buffalo.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw the defense come around last year a little bit. They struggled out of the gates. I think they really missed Star Lotulelei at the defensive tackle as a run stuffer. And bringing Barmore in here, he can be a pass rushing defensive tackle. He can come in maybe as a defensive end in some of the schemes, or they can shift Ed Oliver maybe outside, because I know he's kind of lighter as a defensive tackle, but it opens up a lot of versatility if this pick were to be here. They really don't have a lot of needs. They're a pretty good team. They might be looking running back, or they might be looking corner, or edge is screaming need for them as well. But right now, Barmore's my pick.
Yeah, can't blame you whatsoever. The value's there, BPA is there, and just keep building on the positives of that AFC East divisional team, and hopefully a much better result to the 2021 season than falling short there in 2020. So at For Whom J Bell Tolls, the Debbie Royale is off and running.
We have beautiful graphics, and the fantastic graphic guy set up everything, and it looks phenomenal. So be sure to check it out on Twitter at the Debbie Royale.
And as always at Fantasy Pros as well. Jeff, thank you again for hopping on and making the pick here for the Bills.
Thank you, guys.
All right, take care. All right, we are at the penultimate pick, number 31, and we bring back in Thomas for said pick. He was hinting a little bit at what he was thinking about doing here at number 31, but let's hear it straight from his mouth. Thomas, who you going with at 31?
I just want to point out firsthand that I feel proud that I mentioned a defensive tackle, and a legend like Jeff himself comes up and says, you know what, the value of defensive tackle. I feel like I'm learning some stuff here. So this is going to be a reach pick for a lot of people, but it's a very Baltimore Ravens style pick. They like a guy who's versatile, who's very coachable, and this player had a fantastic Senior Bowl. He kind of stole the show up front. He's not a traditional center, but they put him in there, and he repped out really well. And it's Quinn Meinerz.
Yeah, I knew it.
From Wisconsin Whitewater. It's people are gonna, like I said, it's likely a reach, but it's a very Ravens type reach if they keep both picks. With Villanueva likely on his way at tackle, the Ravens make their money in the middle. And if I have to watch Bozeman airmail and throw at the feet and 27 yards wide anymore, I'm gonna scream. It hurt me. They go and they sign a top, Zeitler's. He's not the same that he was, but he still graded out very well last year. He's been top tier since he came into the league. They're getting Stanley back. I think getting a guy, and I think Quinn's going to be the center. I don't think he's going to play guard. I think he's going to come in and play center. He fits well. He's mobile. He's strong. He's coachable. He's tough. He's from a nothing school. He just screams a Ravens pick. If Marshall was still on the board, I would find it would be very hard to pass on him. Okay. It would be very hard to pass on a guy like Marshall, but injury concerns, I think he's going to fall down a little bit. Obviously can't blame the Packers for wanting to take him. But I think he'll fall actually a little bit, which give other teams a chance to, move up and get him. But I think Quinn's the pick here for Baltimore at 31. They will replace a lineman, just not maybe the lineman people think, but he was a Senior Bowl darling. He's going to have a target on his back. It wouldn't surprise me if teams tried to trade up to get him at the early second, but I don't think he makes it past Baltimore. I did one with Dynasty Jake, one of these, another live draft, and he was, again, my first round pick there. I really think he's going to be the guy if he continued to wear purple and black, because it's Wisconsin Whitewater's colors. I think that it would. I think it just fits. He looks good. I think he would fit the scheme really well. He moves well for as long as Greg roams around, which, yikes. But that's besides the point. Obviously, people keep screaming receiver, receiver, receiver. It's just not who they are. I mean, the Ravens have drafted, I think 4 receivers ever in the first round, and none of them have really worked out. Clayton. So it's tough to see them doing it again. Simon, Sammy, unfortunately, Boykin's going to play, and I do mean unfortunately. So I'm
hurt, dog.
Yeah.
No, it's funny. It's funny when you were talking about a Senior Bowl darling that was a reach. I was like, there's no way he's going to somehow wedge Robert Hainsey into the back end of this round. But no, in all seriousness, they talked about Hainsey playing center at the Senior Bowl, and he played really well at Notre Dame. Like, there's no way this is the pick. But that is a guy, if I'm the Ravens, that I watch for them to take in the 3rd or 4th round out of Notre Dame. But yeah, the Boykin comment, I'm shocked he's doing as well as he has been for you guys.
I mean, if by doing well, you mean the running horrendous routes, and every once in a while when nobody's 27 yards near him, he'll catch that pass in the end zone.
I watched him for 4 years. I lived it.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Like I don't understand how he sees the field, which makes me really sad for Devin Duvernay. Like, if you can't jump past Boykin and Snead, like, obviously, again, I think there's no way the Ravens don't trade into the 2nd round to get a receiver. I think there's no way. And again, like, Tony's still on the board, which I'm not a fan of, but the NFL will. I thought the Waddle pick with Dallas is a little odd, but I think that he might fall a little bit. There's going to be receivers in the 2nd round. Like, there's definitely going to be St. Brown, De'Ami Brown. All those guys are going to be there in the 2nd, leaving teams to move up. I think Ravens are one of them. I think they'll grab them. And you're right. Your boy from Notre Dame is definitely a Ravens 3rd, 4th round pick. They have 2 of each. It's possible. I mean, I like it, but I think Quinn, he's going to be I think he might be the biggest mover in the 1st round. coming up on Thursday. Big time for sure.
I'll give you an A+ for it just because that's my alma mater, and it's been fun to watch that rise and be like, yeah, look at this, Whitewater getting some cred.
I've been accepted.
So no, it's I mean he's rising quick, and it's definitely one of the more entertaining stories out of the draft prospects here so far in 2021. So well, it's possible he could sneak into the back end of that first. I mean I would love it. I would jump out of my seat if it does happen.
Well, now I'm definitely rooting for him even more because I didn't know that was your alma mater. So I mean, let's go for it. I want that A+ ranking beside my name. Like I want this clipped with. I know how good you are with graphics. So like, just pause this.
Draft grades tomorrow.
There you
pause
go.
my Skip Bayless right here, and then I just want an A+ in that corner. Bang.
Oh man, well, who knows? Maybe we will go through the grades, or we'll just leave it to social media to choose.
Oh God,
so.
I'm gonna delete it.
Before we let you go here, like I said, we'll let you double dip and let everybody know where they can find your stuff.
Well, luckily enough, it's in enough places that I can give you a different one. So fantasyintervention.com, you can find an article I did on Zeitler, on Hollywood Brown, and I did a quick shot on the legend himself, Tom Brady. You can go and check that out with more to come. And once again, don't forget to stop in at Full Tilt Dynasty Pod on Spotify and Apple iTunes, all that fun stuff. Check me out, Thomas Tipple FF, for all of your pretty reasonable Ravens takes. And thanks for having me on once again, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Absolutely. Thank you for hopping on, Thomas. Appreciate it.
Ciao.
We brought up the small schools with that pick, Wisconsin Whitewater, and it reminded me. Do you remember the last time a small school player went number 1 overall, and who it was? A non-Power 5, we'll say.
Non-Power 5. Okay.
Yeah, maybe not small, but non-Power 5.
Well, non-Power 5, that would have been David Carr.
Nope.
No.
Happened after that.
Oh, now you're gonna make me think.
Think, Zach.
Oh, frick.
Unless I don't think this program is not Power 5. There's no way.
What?
I'm trying to blank.
I'm drawing a major blank here.
Unless it's, I'm trying to think. Yeah, no, this program is not Power 5.
You better not be trying to throw me off here.
It is probably. I'll give you a hint. It is one of the worst first rounds in NFL draft history, probably in the last 20 years. One of the absolute.
Also, 13 or 14.
Oh,
man.
Come on.
What's the position? I need a position here.
I'll give you the position. It's going to give it away.
Whatever. I don't care.
Okay, offensive tackle.
Offense.
This
Eric
year,
Fisher?
Yeah. Yep. 2013.
Oh God!
You know what
I forgot he was the number 1 pick.
He was in Michigan. What? Central Michigan?
Central Michigan.
Yeah. Man.
I completely forgot he was ever number 1 pick.
You guys remember who
was that? The Luke Jokel?
Yeah, he was.
Luke Jokel.
He was
he was 2. That was a boring year.
Before we kind of wrap it up, just very quick, that first round is awful. Deion Jordan, number 3. Then you got Lane Johnson, Ezekiel Ansah. Do you remember who the Cleveland Browns took number 6 overall?
Is that Joe Hayden?
No.
No,
6?
Yep.
Oh, was it? Oh, Mingo. Barkevius Mingo.
Mingo.
Friend of the program, Barkevius Mingo.
We're looking at Tavon Austin, D. Milner, DJ Fluker. Got E.J. Manuel, Jarvis Jones, Sharif Floyd.
For anybody watching that collects sports cards, you can find any hobby box, and hobby boxes go for hundreds of dollars. For the 2013 year, you can find them for $30 because that class sucked so bad.
Yep. The best pick that year was probably DeAndre Hopkins, late first round.
Yep.
Yeah. That is a
Kyle Long.
Kyle Long was that year. Yep.
Well, thankfully,
Warner. Oh my God, I'm looking at some of these names.
Yeah,
do not go down that list. It is brutal.
It's a rabbit hole you won't want to get out of.
Do you remember that draft? Reminds me of the NBA draft a couple years ago, where the Cleveland Cavaliers had the number 1 pick.
Anthony Bennett.
Oh yeah, I think it was the same year, wasn't it?
Might have been.
2013.
Yeah, that was a rough year.
And everybody's like, "Really? This is happening?"
Yeah,
it happened, and the rest of it happened.
Yeah,
so.
it was 2013.
God.
Oh man, good times. All right, well, with that stroll down horror lane, or nightmare lane, whatever you want to call it. We'll wrap things up here with pick number 32, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the defending champion. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They do need some edge rushers, and I'm going to go right back to that pit of players. There's one in particular that I've got my eye on. He did sit out of 2020 and potentially messed up his draft stock in the process, but I still think he's okay for finishing up at the end of the first round here. We're going Joe Tryon out of Washington as the guy for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, to really one of their very few issues that they have with this team. I feel like they sign everybody. It's like, how do they have the cap space? Who the hell knows? But here we are. And Tampa Bay has not gotten any weaker over the course of the last 3-4 months here, unfortunately for a lot of people. But nevertheless, this finishes up our board. Again, it took some twists and turns over the back end specifically. We hit that halfway mark, and it's like, oh boy, hold on. But making people think a little bit with the fact that they couldn't trade.
And that's kind of what I liked more about this, is you can't trade, so you couldn't get completely weird with it and just do whatever you want and not have a value chart. Is you're stuck in the spot and you're taking kind of best player available at some point, or a player you really like that you think will help your team.
No, absolutely. It's again one of those things where it left a lot of teams in a really difficult spot. The Bears specifically, again, a board of horrors that you don't want to see if you're sitting at 20 and obviously not moving up.
And that's just for the Bears. That's awful. And I don't think people are going to look at this board and they're going to see Justin Fields at number 2. I don't think that's terrible at all. No. Because I think, when you look at Justin Fields, I think he's, like I said, he's probably my number 2 quarterback. Number 2 and 3, I'd mix him and Zach Wilson. I like Zach Wilson. So I don't think that's that big of a deal. I think, if you looked at it and say Nick went Zach Wilson at 2 and Justin Fields fell, the Bears are trading up. It's there's probably 5 teams that are calling to trade up for Justin Fields right there. So it's not, the trades do help in a way, but I kind of like it because, it gives it a little, it gives it a more, almost
authentic feel.
Yeah, authentic, and you can draft off a need and you can draft off best player available. It's like, what team outside of the Bears, what team really got screwed?
But honestly, we somehow screwed the Bears with this draft unintentionally.
I don't think the Bears.
Welcome to ChiCitySports. We just screwed the Bears.
I don't think the Bears
completely unintentionally.
Because if you end up with Pay, that's not terrible.
No, it's not. That's a great value at 20.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Oh man,
you guys ready to skip the second round?
Yeah, let's. We're expecting 2 hours. We're over 3. So to those of you still tuned in here, we do appreciate you for sticking with us and watching the fun that we have had. Thank you for everyone that has joined us here this evening and hopping in and making selections for their teams throughout the evening. The list is a mile long. We'll thank you on social media, but again, be sure to check out all of the coverage here on ChiCitySports heading in to Thursday night's draft. We'll be doing double coverage with the Tape Never Lies Network, Draft Dr. Phil and Shane, the Smartest Man Marsaw, on Thursday night, covering round 1, and then they'll be picking things up with rounds 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 all the way through Saturday. So again, a lot of fun, a lot of uncertainty in terms of what Ryan Pace has up his sleeve. God help us all. but we will be here ready to cover it. You guys ready?
Sure.
I got Jeff just put a nightmare into the chat. He said, God, Mike Glennon was a third rounder in that 2013 draft.
10 of I counted up 10 of those guys that aren't in the league. 10 of the first rounders aren't even in the league anymore.
Oh my God.
Not shocked.
Most of them didn't even make a second contract. Most of those 10 didn't even make a second contract.
Steven, you didn't finish your saying in the 2013 class. You were saying something about football cards.
No, I did. I said that you could find hobby boxes of 2013 sets for like $30 or $40, which, I mean, you and I know that hobby boxes are hundreds of dollars. And especially if the class is good, it's thousands of dollars. So it's obviously something that shows just how great or not great a class can be, specifically mentioning 2013. So
that is brutal.
Yeah, it's brutal to say the least. So here's the final board. Thank you again, everybody, for watching. Hope you enjoyed the fun. And again, stay tuned to ChiCitySports.com and our social media channels for all the fun that will be unfolding as we head into Thursday night's first round. For Nick Bidding and Zach Pearson, I'm Steven Johnson. Thank you again. Have a wonderful night, and we will talk to you Thursday night for round one. Take care, everybody.
Later.